Robinson are suing their customers, Aaron and Sandra Lang, for property damage and loss of income.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Case 2152, Robinson versus Lane.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How long have you been in the business of renting party equipment?
We've been in the business about 2.5 years.
And when you started the business by purchasing how many pieces of equipment?
We purchased 3 used units.
3 used?
Yes, obstacle courses, and we rented them out, and then we saved the money and then progressed renting them out and getting more.
Now, the jumper that you rented to the defendants.
Yes, ma'am.
Was one that you bought used or one that you bought new?
I bought it new.
When?
I bought it on 7/19/21. I have the receipt for it.
I'd like to see it, please. Okay, and what you rented from them was a 38-foot obstacle course.
We didn't rent from them.
Who did?
Some friends of ours did. They used our property for their daughter's Sweet 16. They paid the Robinsons. They signed the rental agreement. We did not.
Is that correct?
Sandra's actually the one that handed me the cash.
Did somebody sign a rental agreement?
Yes.
Who was it?
It's a lady. Her name is...
Okay, so let me understand that this is... let me frame it. You rented this piece of equipment, which is a 38-foot obstacle course, to someone whose name is, and according to your complaint, it was returned damaged.
Yes.
You say it can't be repaired, although you tried to patch it.
Right.
And you want the cost of a new obstacle course, and while you paid $4,500, you want $9,000.
Well, I have a list of loss of rentals because people...
You're not entitled to that. Okay. More important, I want to know how you think if these people were not signatories to your rental agreement, why would you sue them?
When we went there...
May I see that, please, by the way, while she's telling me the story?
When we went there to drop it off, we did all the... I dealt completely with Sandra. They run a business in their property, which is for parties. She said they do cigar club parties, they do Sweet 16 parties on their property.
Okay, got it. You do this as a business?
So, yes, we run...
The answer is yes.
Yes.
You use your home property. Is it your home property that you use?
Yes.
So you have a large enough piece of property that other people who want to make parties for their children do them at your house.
Yes.
So you took physical custody of this.
No.
Who did?
The renters, the people...
No. It's physical custody, not legal custody. We're not talking about legal custody. You took physical custody and put it on your property.
The people that signed the original rental agreement were on the property at the time that they dropped it off.
I don't care. It was on your property.
Yes, it was on our property.
So that's a yes.
Yes.
So it was on your property, but used by somebody else, and they were just using your property.
Yes.
Is that correct?
I had it rented out on Sunday. So when I dropped it off, I told Sandra that we would have to come at 6:30 in the morning to pick it up, to clean it and deliver it the next day. She agreed to that because normally we don't leave it overnight if it's going out the next day because we need to sterilize it. When we got there at 7 in the morning, we came in and we were getting ready to pick up the 38-foot obstacle. I noticed that the dogs had chewed, and there are 2 dogs, a boxer and another dog, were still running around and lifting their leg and urinating on the bouncer. We told her, your dog ate our obstacle. There's pieces of the vinyl, which I have pictures of it, where your dog just ate
You
it.
have pictures of our dog chewing it?
Just a second. I don't want to hear you again. I tried to ignore you quietly and figured you'd get the message. You don't shout out here. Go ahead.
My husband said, excuse me, miss, we have a problem. Your dogs have eaten our obstacle. So then she went in to go and get her husband. Her husband came out. He signed paper saying he was responsible for loss of rentals and the damages or replacement of it.
May I see it, please?
Yes. And also he sent text messages to our phone that same morning apologizing and saying he would do everything to replace it, plus the loss of rentals that we were going to lose.
I'd like to see those texts, and I would
Okay.
like to see his signature on a piece of paper assuming
And
responsibility.
then,
Just a second.
and here's the text messages.
Oh, would you show this to Mr. Lang, please? Yes. Did you sign that, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
I signed it under distress.
Under distress?
Under distress.
There's no such thing. You mean duress?
Duress. She was
Just a second. There's a difference between distress.
duress.
Okay. At 7:29 a.m., you said, I, Aaron Lang, recognize and acknowledge that a jumper obstacle course has been damaged from a dog. I will take care of the repairs and work with the rental company and its owners to get this resolved ASAP. And then about 15 minutes later, you wrote, I'm so sorry again. Let me know when you drop it off, please. Okay, so you tried to drop it off the next day.
I was trying to drop it off the next day to Albert, our repair guy. That
Just a second, just answer my question. It doesn't require a long answer. The next day, you were trying to get it resolved, and you're
Yes.
back and forth with him, let me know, et cetera, and then you don't hear from him.
No.
Then it stopped. Tried
he-
calling you, I tried messaging you to get this resolved.
Yes.
Okay, well, Mr. Lang, there's no question. You acknowledged the damage and you agreed to pay for it. That's what you have. Can I have that back? You acknowledged in here that you would take full responsibility for this. What's your defense?
My defense is when they arrived on the property to pick up their jumper that was left unaccounted for over.
No. When they arrived,
But when they arrived and they announced to us that there was damage to their obstacle course.
well, they came to you first.
Correct.
Is that, don't speak. They came to you first.
Yes.
You came outside.
Yes.
Okay, and when you came outside, you had a conversation with whom?
I believe Miss Robinson.
With Mrs. Robinson?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you say to her and what did she say to you?
She just went hysterically, like upset that the jumper was damaged, and that's when I went inside and
Just a
dropped my
second.
husband.
What did she say?
She just started crying, and she,
Started to cry.
yeah, and she's like, your dog's damaged my obstacle course.
Just a second. So she was crying.
Yes.
And did you have any issue when she said to you, your dog's damaged my obstacle course? Did you see what was bitten off from the obstacle course? That's either a yes or a no. The answer
Yes.
is yes. Okay. What kind of dogs do you have?
A German Shepherd and a Boxer.
And where had you stored this unit overnight?
It was left outside.
In the backyard, in the front yard?
We live on a huge ranch, so it's a 2.5-acre parcel. And it's been known that our neighbor dogs always hop.
I don't want to hear neighbor dogs. I don't want to hear coyotes. I don't want to hear bears.
My witness, he
Just a
is the repair
second.
guy.
Stand up, sir. I don't need an explanation of this. I'm not going into the repair jumper business. Thankfully, I have a job, and I'm too old to learn anything new.
And later today,
You have the phone.
I do. To this day, I am still paying for the data for that phone.
That's a lie.
Just a second.
I literally
Just a second. Cut off your data, let her get her own plan.
Tabitha and Brandon Robinson claim their customers, Aaron and Sandra Lang, refused to pay the costs of repairs after damaging their jumper house.
Okay, now I'm going to get back to you. So now your wife comes in to get you, and you went outside.
Yes.
And
I go outside,
who else is there?
just my wife and I.
So just the two of you.
Just the two of us were home.
And they were there.
And they were there.
Both
picking
of
up their
them.
equipment. Yes.
Okay.
And their daughter.
Okay. And
I go outside. Miss Robinson is completely hysterical, crying, just out of control in hysterics.
okay.
Her husband's yelling, screaming,
Now
profanity.
tell me. Oh, I want you to tell me exactly. No. I want you to tell me exactly. She's crying, and he starts yelling.
Yes.
Well, you came out and said what to them when you came out? And then I want to hear exactly what was said.
I asked to see the damage, for them to show me what was going on, what had happened. They showed me the damage. We both took pictures. Again,
No, you both
took
took,
pictures.
just a second. So he composed himself long enough to take pictures.
Yes.
And you were composed enough to take pictures.
Yes, I was.
Which you have.
Yes.
And then what happened?
Throughout, they're screaming.
No, I want you to tell me. Now, you're
I'm
taking
telling you.
pictures, and...
Brandon is on the phone with their repair guy of some sort.
Okay, so he's on the phone. He's composed enough to be on the phone. Now, before he got on the phone with his repair guy, did you discuss with him your responsibility to take care of the damage? That's either yes or a no.
Yes.
Yes. So once you said, I'll take care of the damage, he got on the phone with his repair guy.
Before I agreed to take care of the damages, before we discussed that, he was already on the phone. With the repair.
Okay, and then he got off the phone, but you signed this the same day. So I want to know when in this conversation you signed it. You need something to lean on. Somebody has to give you a piece of paper. Somebody has to get a pen.
I did not fill out that piece of paper.
You don't have to.
Tabitha is the one that filled out the piece of paper in their vehicle.
Who did?
Miss Robinson is the one that filled it out in her vehicle.
Okay,
and then
so
handed it
just
to
a
me to
second.
sign.
So she got in her vehicle.
Crying in hysterics.
I don't care. She got in her vehicle, and where was her husband?
Outside loading the bouncer.
So he was outside.
Yes.
She went inside her vehicle, and he was busy.
Yes.
And you live in a house,
Yes.
and you felt pressured.
Yes.
You felt as if you were being extorted.
Bullied, yes.
Did you go inside to call the police?
No, I did not. I should have.
Yeah, but you didn't.
I did not.
You went over to the truck where she was hysterical. She wrote out this document, right?
Yes.
And you signed it.
Yes, I did.
There we go. Make my life very easy. Did your repair guy try to fix the bouncer?
I do have a receipt where we did have it, tried to get it temporary patch where we paid $600 just to make sure we could still rent it out. So that was paid for. This is my repairman. He is my witness. And then also I do have a paper with an estimate of what it would be to repair the obstacle.
May I see it, please? After he did this job, which he did on October 4th, from the 3rd to the 4th, did you rent it out?
No, we tried to, but I have pictures that I brought of what happens when the air flows through. The patches won't stay. You have to go up inside the bouncer and actually put a patch on the inside and the outside, and it would cost more money. My witness he
Just a
is the repair
second.
guy that can
What
tell you.
you're telling me is that your witness prepared this estimate of what it would cost to repair the jumper.
Yes.
Stand up, sir. I don't need an explanation of this. I'm not going into the repair jumper business. Thankfully, I have a job, and I'm too old to learn anything new. Did you prepare this estimate to fix the jumper?
Yes, ma'am. That is the full estimate to repair it properly.
To do it
any
properly?
location. Yes.
Okay.
The first one was a temporary repair.
Listen, I got it. I'm a fast learner, and anybody who watches this program better learn to think fast too, because I have a lot of things to do today. So you prepare this. So for $2,500, in addition to the $600, did they pay you the $600?
Yes.
So in addition to the $600, so in total, $3,100 would fix the jumper.
Correct.
Great. That's what you agreed to pay, sir. You agreed to do the repairs on the jumper. Now, you want a new jumper. You're not going to get a new jumper. You're not going to get damages for lost income. He's going to fix the jumper. How long is it going to take you?
Roughly about 2 days. 2 to
2 days. Piece of cake. $3,100. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I don't owe them anything. I didn't rent the bouncer
I'm just happy that we're going to have our bouncer repaired.
because they're money hungry.
They're looking for a payday.
The truth always comes out, and what's right is what's right.
So initially, after reading the papers, I thought the plaintiffs, while perfectly matched in their tops, were suing the wrong people because these people didn't sign the rental agreement. So any damage or any agreement to pay damage, I was with you from the beginning that these are the wrong people. It came out that they had a little bit more involvement, the defendants, than they wanted.
They agreed to pay.
Exactly. He knew he did the wrong thing. He probably saw his dog destroy the jumper from the kitchen window and felt bad and knew that it was his responsibility. I don't think that they deserve $9,000 for a brand new jumper, but they deserve to get it fixed and to keep making money off of it.
Right.
Case 2178, Glad versus Sawbird. All parties, please come forward.
Serenity Glad is suing her ex-girlfriend, Jennifer Sauber, for unpaid loans.
Ms. Glad, if my memory is correct, you are suing the defendant for a series of small loans that you claim she owes you for, and those loans were created, according to you, during a period of time that you and the defendant were either involved in a relationship and or engaged.
Yes.
How long do you know each other?
We've known each other since May of 2021.
And there came a time when the defendant came to live with you, or you went to live with the defendant?
I moved to Colorado to live with her.
And when was that?
That was in May of 2022.
When you moved in with her to Colorado, were you working?
Not at the time, no.
What kind of work did you do in Colorado?
I was unemployed.
How'd you support yourself?
A friend of the family helped me out due to my disabilities.
Who pays your rent?
The friend of the family.
Do you own a car?
I did.
Do you now?
No.
Are you working now?
Not at the moment, no.
Prior to that?
I was out in Colorado.
Working?
Yes.
For whom?
It was a local coffee shop.
Okay. Now you're living together, you are a couple. At some point you became engaged. And then something happened. What happened is probably irrelevant. What I want you to tell me is, from the point that you moved in, what loans do you claim you made to her?
I had paid part of a vet bill.
When was that?
That was at the end of May. I have the invoices here.
And what makes that a loan?
Because at the time she didn't have money and she had agreed to pay me back when she had gotten a job.
Did you agree to pay her back for this vet bill when you got a job?
No, ma'am. The friend of the family was going to pay for it all, but she insisted on paying it.
Tell me about that.
So in the vet office, I was messaging the friend of the family, and he was willing to pay it in full. And she was like, no, I'm going to pay for it. You need to quit asking him for money. I was like, he is the person that supports me right now. We do not have the money, so he's going to help us. She said that she would pay for half of it, I believe it was.
For half?
For half.
Okay.
So it was like $100.
How much was it?
$170.
Let's keep moving on.
I've been paying my data on my phone, and she keeps turning it off.
Just a second. I can't help you with that.
I understand.
You know, I'm not one of those, what do they call them, geniuses?
Genius bar.
Yeah, I'm not a genius person. Not with phones anyway.
Serenity Glad claims her ex-girlfriend, Jennifer Sauber, refuses to pay back loans given to her during their engagement.
Now, what other loans do you think she owes you for?
I had bought her tires for her car.
When?
That was on June 17th, I believe.
Were you using the car?
I was using the car.
Okay. For how long were you using the car?
About 2 months.
And what were you using the car for?
Getting to work.
So at that point, it was as much your vehicle as it was hers, because she wasn't working. So you took the car to work.
Yes.
And the car needed tires.
Yes.
And?
So I ended up paying for them just for safety reasons, given that.
Well, it's your safety. You were driving it.
That's
right?
true. Yes.
Let's move on. Next loan.
On top of that, I had to pay for vet insurance for her dog.
She didn't have to.
Just a second.
Sorry.
And then even after I had left Colorado, she asked me to leave her dog on the plan and just pay me.
You
back.
have your own animals?
No.
No. So after you left Colorado, when you were no longer a couple, did you request that she continue to pay for the vet insurance? That's either a yes or a no.
I don't remember.
Well, she says you did. How many months did you pay after you left Colorado? Show me. After you left her, you were no longer a couple. How many months did you pay?
I had ended up paying
Just the months?
2 months.
And how much were those 2 months?
$71.46.
What's next?
After that, the biggest one is the phone that she has.
Tell me, when you got the phone, when she got a new phone, because I assume she had a phone, is that
Yes.
right?
I actually had just bought a brand new phone, and I insisted that I didn't need a new one.
What kind of phone did you buy?
iPhone 11 mini.
And?
I got the phone, and I have a hard time seeing, and I didn't have glasses, and I was like, it would be nice to have a larger phone. We actually originally went to get us on the same plan. I was going to keep my same phone, but I was looking at the phone. She was like, well, let's both just get new phones. I was like, that's not a good idea. She was like, well, let's just get them. It's fine. So I traded in my old phone for about $400, and we got the phone, and the agreement was, since I traded in my old phone, I still had to pay off the old phone because I just got it. So the agreement was I pay off my old phone, and to keep the service on, I would pay for my service and my data, and she would pay off the phone itself. that was our original agreement. And then a few weeks later, she's like, I never said that.
Okay. How much did you end up paying for her phone?
As of currently, there's $575 paid on her phone.
Do you still have that phone?
I do.
Can I see that there's $575 left on her phone? Not because you got two when you got new phones. So just hers.
I have this.
Is that for one phone
That is
or
just
two?
for one phone, yes.
Okay, would you show this to the defendant, Kevin, please? And you have the phone,
I do.
and you're not paying for it.
I'm paying for the service for what we
Service,
agreed
I'm
on.
not talking about service. That receipt is for one phone.
Yes.
It says your phone was a little over $1,000.
Yes.
What was put down on the phone was almost $400. There was some payments made, and what's still due and owing on the phone is $514. That's what it says.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. And you have the phone.
I do.
Great. So 7146 and 514 is 585. Anything else?
To this day, I am still paying for the data for that phone.
That's a lie.
Just a second.
I literally
Just a second. Cut off your data, let her get her own plan. She'll go in, she'll get her own plan. Right now, what's due and owing on the phone is 514. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
I've been paying my data on my phone, and she keeps turning it off.
Just a second. I suggest you get a new plan. You have your phone, get another
I've
plan.
been trying to, but she keeps...
I can't help you with that.
I understand.
You know, I'm not one of those, what do they call them, geniuses?
Genius bar.
Yeah, I'm not a genius person. Not with phones anyway. Okay, 7146 and 514. My math is almost correct. It's $585.46. That's what she owes you. Judgment for the
$400 of that
plaintiff.
is
We're
from my
finished.
old phone.
Judgment for the plaintiff. That's what she owes.
Okay.
That's what she owes on it. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I'm okay with it.
I do think it was a very fair hearing.
I'm okay with it because I, just want things to be all right between us because she's still my best friend and I still love her.
I mean, I feel the same way, I do love her. She's my best friend. Same exact thing. I just hope things smooth over.
So I think naturally when you're engaged to be married to someone or when you're married or even in a very serious relationship for a year, you don't keep a laundry list of expenses. I took you to dinner this night for our anniversary, here's your half. We went on vacation, here's your half. So it makes it that much more important when you're in a serious relationship like that because in the eyes of the law, those things are sort of a wash in a relationship. So if you believe that something is really a loan, that you've both decided as partners, I know we're together, I know we do things together that we both cover the expenses and pay for, but this $1,000 phone is outside the scope of that relationship. Let's just write something down so that we remember that although we're together, this was a loan. It makes it all that much more important because...
And simple.
And simple, because otherwise the law is going to look at your relationship first and determine, is it one of those wash dinners or is it something that was legitimate? So it would just make it a lot simpler and if things don't work out in the end, easier for you to get your money back.
I think you're right.
Thank you.
Shanice Grimm is suing her client, Dallas Lee, for child care services, late fees, and property damage.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2175, Grimm versus Lee.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Miss Grimm, in what state do you live?
Missouri,
In what county?
Jackson.
You have a daycare center.
An in-home childcare, yes.
For how long?
I started September of 2022.
What is your house like?
I have a single-family home with a finished basement and then like an attic type. It's 2 bedrooms.
House has 2 bedrooms?
No, up in the attic has 2 bedrooms. It's technically a 3-bedroom house, but it has made 6 rooms.
And how many children do you have?
I currently have 7.
How old are they?
14, 13, 11, 8, 5, and 3, and 1, 18 months.
3 and 18 months.
I'm sorry, she's 4 now. She just turned 4.
So the older ones go to school. Does the 5-year-old go to school?
Yes,
And the 8-year-old goes to school.
correct.
So you have 2 little ones at home.
My 4-year-old goes to early childhood, half a day.
So you have 1 child at home during the day
Correct.
and 1 half a day.
Yes.
And you have 3 children.
Yes, ma'am.
How old are they?
I now have a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and a 5-month-old.
And those were the children that you enrolled in her daycare center.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Scrim, what kind of licensing do you have, an application that you have to make in order to run an in-home daycare center in Missouri?
So in the state of Missouri, as long as you have under 6 children, you do not have to have a license.
As long as you have 6 children in total in the house, or 6 children
that I'm watching.
That you're watching?
Correct. Because my school children are not considered watching, like under the law.
Well, you certainly have to watch your 18-month-old.
Yes, he's the only one. That's why I've always kept 5 children or less.
It is your claim that Miss Lee entered her children into your program. She paid you for a certain period of time. She owes you for 2 weeks.
Correct.
And were those 2 weeks that her children were actually in care?
Correct.
Which 2 weeks were those?
They are the last 2 weeks of October.
Of 2022?
Correct.
And the children were in your program?
Correct.
Miss Lee, were the children in Miss Grimm's program the last 2 weeks in October?
Yes, ma'am, they were.
Did you pay her for the last 2 weeks in October?
No, ma'am, I did not.
How much were you supposed to pay her?
For the last 2 weeks was supposed to be $600 because our agreement was $600 every 2 weeks.
Okay, so it was supposed to be $600.
Yes, ma'am.
So now the ball is in your court so far. Ms. Grimm, we're not talking about a late fee. We're just talking about these 2 weeks.
Correct.
First, tell me your reason for removing the children.
I removed my children out of her care because my children, every time that I picked them up, it was either they were harmed or injured, or my son, my 3-year-old, would tell me something had happened while I was gone at work in her care. My son had told me on numerous accounts that she hit him herself, and then he also told me that her 15-year-old son, or 14, I'm sorry, had also spanked him. And when I did ask him, well, I asked her actually, I said, "Who is Trey?" Because he said, "Mommy, Trey hit me. We were getting in the car." They normally do help me get in the car with my 3 children, seeing I have one who's barely walking.
You get going all over the place.
Yes, ma'am. So they normally help me get in the car with my children, so they were outside with us. And my son said, "Mommy, Trey hit me like this." I didn't know any Trey, so I asked her, "Who is Trey?" And she said, "That's my son." And he said, "That's me." He was standing right there next to her. He said, "I'm Trey." And I said, "Bryson said that you hit him." And he said, "Yes, I hit Bryson." He said, "I popped him because Bryson wasn't doing right. Bryson didn't want to go to timeout."
On what day was that?
That was on October 25th.
And what was the last day that your children attended?
October 27th.
Okay, so despite the fact that Trey, your Trey?
Yes, ma'am.
Slapped the 3-year-old, said that he slapped the 3-year-old, you let him stay there for an extra 2 days.
Yes, ma'am.
Just that's it, yes. Now, where were you working that you had your children in daycare?
I was working as a CNA.
What is that?
A certified nurse's assistant.
Where?
It's a
nursing
like a
home?
Rehab. Yes, ma'am.
When did you start working there?
I started working there in September.
September of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
Beginning of September?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you stop working there?
I stopped working there October 27th. That was my last day.
If I were to call, would they tell me that they terminated you or you quit?
I quit.
Did you quit on the 27th?
Yes, ma'am.
And what about now? Are you working?
I am.
Who are you working for?
I work through a temp agency, working per diem at different locations as a CNA.
And who takes care of your children?
My stepmom. My children,
Just a second. And when did you start that job?
I started that job about 4 weeks ago.
So in December?
Yes, ma'am. Late November or so.
You left the children there until the end of October. It couldn't have been so disturbing for you, madam, to leave the children there until the end of October, another 6 weeks, if you felt as if they weren't getting adequate care. And if you did, that would be on you.
Shanice Grimm claims her client, Dallas Lee, refused to pay for child care services. Dallas is countersuing for lost wages and emotional distress.
So a relative has been taking care of your children?
Yes, ma'am. Not all 3 of them. I had to send my 2 sons because I had to rearrange my daycare situation. I had to send them back to Texas to be with their dad.
So 2 of them went back to their father?
Yes, ma'am.
And who do you live with here?
I live with my dad.
What does he do?
My dad is a nuclear medicine technologist.
So your stepmom takes care of one of the children.
My 5-month-old daughter, yes, ma'am.
Who's in the house. Now you're going to tell me why you didn't pay her for the last 2 weeks.
So my children began in her care September 12th. September 13th, she sent me a text message while I was at work, and she said, I want to let you know Lil Mama was bit today by my 1-year-old on her cheek. She sent me a picture. I have this.
Not interested. I mean, it's not that I'm disinterested. It's that don't show me anything from September, madam. You kept your children with her into October and through the end of October. And if anything was so concerning to you that you thought your children would be at risk, I'm certain that you would have discussed it with your father, and your father would have said to you, don't speak. Okay. And your father would have said to you, if you have a problem with the children, don't let them stay there. What you did, okay, I can see that you're dying to tell me something. What?
Yes, ma'am. My daughter had no other choice but to keep her children in care because I work a full-time job.
Let me explain something to you, sir. Your daughter was living with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. There is always an alternative, sir. I have young grandchildren, and I would say if I was legitimately concerned for their health and safety, I don't care what it is, stay home and take care of your children. You'll have a roof over your head until you find appropriate daycare. And if you didn't do that, then you're not much of a grandfather.
Well,
you can't use something that happened in September or early October to say, well, that's why I didn't pay the last 2 weeks. So you can't make excuses, sir. I'm telling you, I'm a grandmother and I've had little children. I don't care what you had to do. Quit my job, whatever that job is, and say, we'll all stay home and take care of the children until you find, or you stay home and take care of the children. I'll provide you with whatever basics you need until you get the right daycare. And if you didn't do that, don't tell me that your daughter didn't have a choice. There is always a choice when your babies are concerned.
In our estimation at that time, we were giving her some hard life lessons because she does now have 3 children, and there are going to be some difficulties in this living situation. There are going to be some things. So what we were doing, we're giving her some tough love and saying, hey, you cannot give up just because the chips are down or because things happen. You have to try to figure things out.
Well, that would be on you. That's not on her. This is not her daughter. It's your daughter.
Absolutely.
And your grandchildren, sir.
Absolutely.
And if you want to teach her some real hard lessons and say you got to stay with the daycare, even though you're dissatisfied.
We said give her a chance because it was the first day.
So.
It was the first incident, first day. We said give her a chance. Things happen sometimes.
What I don't want to hear is from you, who seem like a very intelligent man, a working man, is my daughter had no choice. Your daughter has a choice. Her choice is to say to you, Dad, please, I have to find the right daycare. I have to stop working at this job. I may need a month. You may not have liked her previous irresponsible behavior, right?
Correct.
But the deed is done. She got 3 young children.
Beautiful children.
Right? So what you do is when you have 3 young, beautiful children, you protect them.
Absolutely.
And if you're not smart enough to protect them yourself, you got to rely on your father who's smart enough to do that. What I'm saying to you is your daughter used this lady's services and she has to pay for it. She may not send her children back, but your statement that you were so anxious to make to me, which is my daughter had no choice, she did have a choice, sir. She did have a choice. Before I would let my children stay in a place where I actually believed that they were being abused, because that's what she's suggesting. I mean, she's not suggesting that this young man, who I'm not condoning hitting a 3-year-old, gave him a slap on the rear end. I'm not condoning that. But there were no injuries to him. I don't know whether you've done it. I don't know whether she's done it to her child. You certainly don't want a daycare provider's child to discipline a 3-year-old.
Absolutely.
That's not what it's about.
But after the first incident, what we were trying to teach her is that you don't just throw in the towel, because Ms. Graham was just starting her service up. And
September 5th.
So we understand that there are going to be some hiccups and some things that she has to fix as she comes across them. And so she's a young lady. My daughter's a young lady. So as an older man, I'm trying to support 2 individuals to build their lives up. And so I told my daughter, I don't like that she was bitten, but at least she came forward very quickly and told you, so leave them there for now. And if anything else transpires, then we can start to look at things then. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Who do you work for, sir?
I work for the Veterans Administration.
And how long have you worked for the Veterans Administration?
21 years.
Do you get paid every 2 weeks?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's say your boss at the VA all of a sudden decided they didn't like the work you were doing. And you left and they owed you 2 weeks' pay because you had actually worked for the 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
And you sued them for those 2 weeks. You worked there. You said, well, we didn't like the quality of his work for those 2 weeks. Well, then you fire him. but you pay them. It's like going to a restaurant. My favorite analogy is you go into your favorite restaurant where you get a steak. And you order a steak, medium, Pittsburgh medium. Steak comes, you cut into it, you take a bite. Oh my God, you say, I don't like the way this tastes. You take the plate, you spit out the bite if you're smart. Call the waiter over and say, this is a bad steak, right?
Absolutely.
And the waiter takes it off the bill or you order something else. Now you cut into that same steak, you taste, you say, this tastes terrible. Maybe the next bite will taste better. Before you know it, you've finished the whole steak. Waiter comes over to take your clean plate. You say, the steak was awful. I didn't like it. It was bad. Well, what'd you eat it for? But if you ate the steak, you got to pay for it. If you take a bite and say it's no good, I'm in your corner. Send it back. But your daughter ate the steak. She used her services for 2 weeks and didn't pay her.
Well, we can't say that she used her services because there are other pieces of evidence that we have.
Well, you mean you're talking about that sometimes she left the children with her husband?
Yes.
Yeah. Baloney. Your daughter had the benefit of daycare so that she could work. If you're not satisfied with the service, you stop using the service. If you continue to use the service despite the fact that you're not satisfied with it, you gotta pay for it. That's America. You got paid, your father got paid, she gets paid.
Shanice Grimm has accused her client, Dallas Lee, of refusing to pay for childcare services. Dallas claims Shanice wrongfully disciplined and neglected her children.
Your daughter had the benefit of daycare so that she could work.
Absolutely.
And she had the benefit of daycare from this lady that enabled your daughter to make money.
But if we're talking breach of contract, the contract was breached when the husband watched the child. And
now you're not teaching your daughter responsibility. Now you're making excuses. Now you're not teaching your daughter responsibility. Your daughter worked to make money. You worked those last 2 weeks, didn't stay home with your grandchildren. You made money.
Absolutely.
The only one that didn't make money and had her 3 children for those 2 weeks was the plaintiff. She ate the steak. She used the service. She didn't have anybody else. It's not as if, well, I had to hire somebody else to take care of the kids the last 2 weeks, even though it was in my deal. So that's why I'm not paying them. She worked, you worked, she worked. And if her husband, if she ran out to the store and left her husband, unless you're telling me that that was such a breach of the agreement that your daughter took the children out of her program. Did she? No, she did not. She didn't say, I'm not allowing your husband to take care of my children, even if it's just for an hour. I'm taking my children out of the program. Dad, can you help me out for the next couple of weeks until I find something else? But you can't eat the steak, which she did. Now you can sit down.
Can I say one more thing?
Not if you want to continue to look foolish. Now you're not teaching her responsibility.
Well,
now you're not teaching her responsibility. I don't want to have to teach you responsibility.
Well, you don't have to. I'm a veteran. I know what responsibility is. But when you are promoting your program as one thing, but your service is another, I cannot say that if Bobby Flay is cooking the steak.
It doesn't matter who was cooking the steak. It was whether you ate the steak. It's whether you ate the steak.
I get what you're saying, Judge. But if it's promoted as Bobby Flay cooking it and Bob Berger cooked it, and I don't like the taste, then those are two different things.
Oh, no, sir. If you're promoting Bobby Flay as cooking the steak and you find, or the hamburger, and you find out that Bobby Flay's younger brother was cooking the steak or was cooking the burger, and either way, if the burger is no good, you're not going to eat it. But you can't eat it and say, well, I really thought I was getting a Bobby Flay hamburger, and I didn't get a Bobby Flay hamburger, so I'm not going to pay for it, even though I ate it. Now you can sit down. How much is 2 weeks' worth of care? $600?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff, $600. You have a counterclaim. Counterclaim is ridiculous. Money owed for lost wages, emotional distress on behalf of the children. You shouldn't have emotional distress on behalf of the children, madam. You're their mother. The first time you had an inkling that you felt that your children, your young children, were being neglected in the plaintiff's care, what you should have done was remove them. Remove them. First time you felt as if 3-year-old shouldn't have been subject of a slap by this young man? Great. Remove them. You found that the baby, the little one, was bitten by her little one. You say, that's not watching them carefully enough, because they I think, are supposed to be separated, correct?
Yes.
No, we were all in one room, so they weren't having to be separated because with me only having less than 4 children, there was no way of separating because there was only one me.
It's a big responsibility to take care of little children.
Correct.
My daughter shouldn't have been in his reach. She did tell me that she left out of the room.
I agree with you.
She left out of the room is what she told me, Judge. So that's actually not true. She told me that she left out of the room and went to the kitchen.
What day? Give me the date that happened.
September 13th.
You left the children there until the end of October. It couldn't have been so disturbing for you, madam, to leave the children there until the end of October, another 6 weeks, if you felt as if they weren't getting adequate care. And if you did, that would be on you. And maybe a little bit on your father. Because if you told him about it, said, oh my God, that's terrible. Take my child out right away. All 3 of them. But you didn't. You left them in there September 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, all the way up until the end of September and the end of October. That's on you.
Actually, she did not have them in the end of September because she was suspended from her job. So they were gone for 2 weeks in September.
Were you suspended from your job?
I was. I had to...
That's my question. You were suspended from your job. When you were suspended from your job, did you take the children out of daycare?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that's reasonable. She didn't give you a problem with that, I assume.
No.
And you didn't pay for those 2 weeks?
I did not.
Great. Well, these 2 weeks you're going to pay for. Because
I don't believe I owe her anything.
I don't care what you believe. If you're not listening to what I'm saying to you and you're fixed in your opinion, that means you haven't learned anything. Your father tried to teach you a little bit of tough love. What I'm telling you is, if you work, you get paid. If you're not satisfied with the service, you stop using the service. If you continue to use the service despite the fact that you're not satisfied with it, you got to pay for it. That's America. You got paid, your father got paid, she gets paid. She didn't get paid for the 2 weeks you took your kids out. Didn't say to you, well, you have to pay me anyway. I have to keep this open for you. That was very fair. Took the kids out, didn't pay. You left your kids in, you pay $600. You count the claims dismissed. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
I am a little upset she didn't see things my way.
The judge was kind of in my favor for majority of it.
You know, her leaving my children in the care of her 15-year-old son and also her husband.
Then why did she continue bringing her children to me for another month?
Also, my son letting me know that, you know, she hit him.
I have never touched her children. I could take a lie detector test to prove it.
It was pretty difficult for me because I didn't have any other choices. I didn't have anyone else who could help me with keeping all 3 of my children while I work.
She actually never gave me excuses. She actually just told me she was going to pay me.
Life is not easy.
If you work, you should get paid.
But you get back up and you keep moving.
My generation, I'm not sure about yours, I haven't had much experience in yours, but in mine, I think we confuse having to make a hard choice with being out of options. Here, I felt for the defendant. She had to make a hard choice. But even when her father came up and felt the need to burst out and say, my daughter had no options, she had no choice. Well, she did have a choice. It was a hard choice. You had to send your 2 older sons to live with their father and find a sort of mediocre, at best, childcare situation. But you made the choice to have those 3 children. And when you have children, you make a commitment to make the hard choices to benefit them.
In their best interest.
In their best interest. And if you're not prepared to do that, then you shouldn't become a parent.
In any event, I tried to make my steak analogy. It didn't.
I thought it was great.
Okay.
I had a great time.
Great. I'm glad you
I thought
did.
it was a
Is suing business owner Amber Howard for damages and defamation to her pet daycare business.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2173, Langley versus Howard.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Langley, your complaint states that you live in a rural area, 13 acres. Your business is pet sitting.
Correct.
The property that you own does not have running water.
Correct.
So all the water for your property has to be trucked in.
Yes.
The defendant is the owner of?
The owner's wife.
The same thing. They own a water business where they deliver by truck massive amounts of water, and you had used them for a period of time. Prior to Labor Day of 2021, when this incident occurred, how long have you been using the defendants?
Probably about a year.
And how often do they deliver water to your property?
4 times a week. Usually 3 times for the pool and once for the house.
Okay. And each time they came, was that on a set time during the week?
We tried to get a set time, but it varied quite often.
Okay. Would they call before they came?
No.
For the year that you had them, when they came, did you pay them at the time that they came?
Yes, I did. Oftentimes we paid in advance. So we paid for the entire week.
So you either paid in advance or you paid at the time of the delivery?
Yes.
Did you give them a check or cash?
Check.
Now let's get to Labor Day 2021. On what day were they supposed to come?
I believe it was the 4th of September. It was on a Friday.
And who was at home to accept the delivery?
We didn't know when they were coming, but I had taken my employee out to lunch, and I called my nephew, who was there holding down the fort, and told him if they deliver water, let them know I forgot the check, so they can either deliver or come back later.
Well, you live in a rural area. Coming back later is a big inconvenience because you forgot the check.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, it happened that it was a big inconvenience because you went out for lunch and you left a nephew. They came, the check wasn't there, and they left with the water. Now, what time did you come?
I wasn't the one who delivered the water. It was my husband, but I believe he had came.
No, he'll tell me.
Oh, okay.
So this was about a year and a half ago. I don't remember the exact time, but it was an AM delivery because we were going out of town Friday evening, going up north. So I was trying to get done with our route fairly early so that we could get out.
So the first time you came to the house was in the morning?
That's correct.
Not lunchtime?
No, it was probably somewhere around 10 a.m. if I was to guess.
Okay. And when you got there that one time, the nephew was there?
That's correct.
And tell me what happened.
Well, the nephew, for starters, is about 12 years old, and the reason why we don't necessarily have a time frame for businesses is because if it's between business hours, when we show up and if they need water, usually that shouldn't be an issue for the business.
Don't give me a whole story, sir. The nephew was 12 years old, okay, and he was left in charge of the pets.
That's correct.
Okay, so the nephew was left in charge of these animals, and when you came, there was no check. What happened?
It wasn't even about the money, the reason why I left. The reason why I showed up there is he was talking on the phone, and he said, we are not ready for water right now.
He was on his phone?
Yes.
Where did this conversation take place?
Near the pool, the dog pool. And we were actually taking 4,000 gallons. So I brought my big truck. I bring 2,000 for the doggy pool and then 2,000 for the house because it was a holiday weekend, so I had to make sure that we got him enough water to last through the holiday weekend.
Okay, and I assumed that the plaintiff was satisfied with your service because she had continued with your service for over a year.
Yes, that's correct.
That's according to you. That's according to you. You had been satisfied with their service because if you weren't, you would have found somebody else. But you had been satisfied with their service. According to you, you paid them in advance or on the date of the delivery. On Labor Day, September 4th, you left your 12-year-old nephew there.
12, but...
Well, how old is he, 13?
He's 15.
So what? What's the difference?
Okay, I'm just
well, maybe he's 15 now. Maybe he wasn't in 2021. So the nephew said to you, we're not ready for water delivery now.
That's
Is that what you're saying? Now, your business have a phone?
Correct.
Did the plaintiff ever call you and say, I'm home now, I'm sorry, there was a mix-up?
No, so what happened, I showed up there, he wasn't ready for water. I told him, that is...
What do you have to do to get ready for water?
For their purposes, I believe it was to try to use up as much as they can.
No, don't tell me what you believe. I want to know what you have to do to get ready for a water delivery. Do you have to open up a spigot? What do you have to do?
Okay, so basically they're holding tanks that are in basements or in the ground. So normally nobody even has to be there, 90% of our customers. This particular case, one of their tanks is in a basement, which doesn't have an alarm. So in order to fill their tank up, somebody has to be down there with a radio to radio up to us to know when to shut the water off.
Okay, so that would have had to have been the nephew who was between the ages of 12 and 15, would have had to have been in the basement.
That's correct.
Okay. And when you came onto the property, he said, we're not ready for a water delivery.
That's correct.
And he would have had to have been in the basement.
That's correct.
So you left?
Yes. Correct.
What happened next?
Your Honor, I told him that it's not that big of a deal. I got a few more stops. I'm going to go do those stops, and then I'll come back. And then hopefully you'll be ready, and your aunt would be ready for water at that time. So I went and did my 2 stops. So I used up another 4,000 gallons. I filled back up. Went back to their house. At this time, it was probably somewhere around 12. And again, he said, we're still not ready for water.
So you went back again at noon?
Between 12 and 1, I would say.
And the plaintiff wasn't home?
That's correct. Again.
How many hours passed between the first delivery and the second?
It takes me about 45 minutes per stop, and I know I did about 2 stops, so about an hour and a half it took me before I was back there.
And for that hour and a half, she didn't come back. So it was either a very late breakfast or a very early lunch.
That's correct.
Okay, so now they go twice to deliver water to you, and you're not there, and neither is your check. So now you tell me what happened next.
Kyle called me. First, he doesn't have a phone, but we do have a business line. So he called me on the business line and told me that the driver just left. He goes, I don't know where he went. He said, I think
Who told?
Kyle.
Who was that?
I'm sorry, he's my nephew.
Your nephew called you. What time?
Well, our lunch is...
What? You went
can't tell
before lunch because he was there earlier in the morning.
We did not go before lunch. We went 12:30 to 2. The dogs always nap 12:30 to 2. Okay. We separated the dogs.
How many times did they?
And we were
how many
5 minutes.
How many times did they come to your house to deliver water?
According to what I was told, I wasn't there. 2.
Well, that's what he says. He came twice. We haven't gotten to the third yet, but he came twice to your house and you weren't there.
Correct.
You're supposed to wait for a service. You're supposed to be there ready for the service. That would be on you. That's not on them, that's on you. They came when they were supposed to deliver water, and you weren't there, and you left somebody who was not equipped to deal with the situation in charge. And what happened was you didn't have water, potentially, over the holiday weekend because they were going away, so you had to scurry to find other water.
Correct.
That's what this case is about. If your preteen or post-teen nephew was on the telephone, didn't want to be bothered at that moment, that ain't his fault. That's your fault that you left somebody incompetent when you were supposed to get a water delivery. All I'm saying to you is, this is nasty a year later. Nasty.
Brenda Langley claims business owner Amber Howard defamed her pet daycare business. Amber is countersuing for negative reviews Brenda made toward her business.
Okay, so according to you, a year later, you heard something about their business, so you wrote a negative something about their business on the internet. You'll tell me what that is in a moment. And in retaliation for that, they posted a negative comment about your business, alleging something that had to do with the animals. So that's what this case is about. Your use of the internet to make trouble. You, a year later, according to you, only posted one negative review. Is that right?
Correct.
And that was a year later.
Yes. Do you want me to tell you why? Because they take the reviews down. You can't leave it. I tried right away.
All I'm asking you is, I don't want to hear shoulda, woulda, coulda. A year later, you posted a negative review about them. So I'd like to see the review and why you waited a year. You had had a full year of positive service from these people, and the day that you had a problem with them was your fault. I just determined that. It was your fault.
Okay.
So I want to see what you said about them. Miss Langley, so I read this thing. It says, funny how this shows up as a recommendation. Apparently, they took the rating system off their page. They were always shorting us on water for the pool. Well, you used them satisfactorily for a year. So I think that that's baloney.
We had a couple run-ins over it.
Once when I complained, the driver said my nephew told him to stop. What is that about? Once when you complained about what?
About the pool being short on water.
Just what did your nephew have to do with them? Your nephew is hardly a teenager. What did your nephew have to do with discussing
Nothing,
things
really.
with the bro?
Nothing. He would help them sometimes bring the hose in and things like that, but he was just a helper every once in a while.
Well, what does that mean?
He didn't have anything to do with it.
Once when I complained, the driver said my nephew told him to stop. Video surveillance proved he was lying. No one ever approached him and no one spoke to him. I showed the owner the video and he didn't seem to care. The last straw was when the owner, that would be them, left for a holiday weekend and we had no water and low pool water. Well, that would be your fault. You don't say that here. It just makes it appear as if they left and left you high and dry, but they came at least twice, he's going to tell me a third time probably, to deliver water, and you weren't there. When my nephew asked if we could pay next week. He got in his truck and left. That's also your fault.
If you would have communicated, I could have brought the money. We were 5 minutes away.
Just a second. That puts the onus on them. Why weren't you there? This is all on you. This isn't on them. No conversation, no phone call, not even a curse word. I called his wife to find out what happened, and she said they were going out of town for the weekend. And you put in parentheses, too bad. Well, you're allowed to go out. You're allowed to go out for lunch when their delivery is coming without a check, but they're not allowed to go out for Labor Day for the weekend. I immediately called a competitor to bail us out. Thank God he took mercy on us and came out right away. We have had excellent service with a competitor ever since. It could have been catastrophic to try not just to live but run a business with no water over the holiday weekend. You should have been home to get your delivery. And so,
can I say something?
Sure.
I always paid. They knew I was good for the money, and nobody has to be there when they deliver water. We don't watch them deliver water, except for maybe in the house, and Kyle was there to receive it.
Just a second. He just told me that one of the water tanks is in the basement. Somebody has to be there in the basement in your house. If your preteen or post-teen nephew was on the telephone, didn't want to be bothered at that moment, that ain't his fault. That's your fault that you left somebody incompetent when you were supposed to get a water delivery. All I'm saying to you is, this is nasty a year later. Nasty. And for no reason. I don't hear a reason why this a year later. You want to tell me?
I had heard about some bad business practices, so it got me upset again. So I decided to look and find a way to put a review on. They had taken their reviews off the page. So immediately I wanted to put a review on there, but they have it down as a recommendation.
Who cares?
So that's when I left.
I just still don't understand why a year later you stir this up. So for a year, you were getting water from a competitor. You cut off their system. They seem to be still surviving. You're still in business?
Yes. Yeah.
They're in business without you. You're in business without them.
Right.
Okay. So this is nasty. Okay. Now, as a result of being nasty, they wrote a review about you, which is why you're here.
Yes.
About your business.
Yes.
May I see that review?
About her statement saying that she only gave us one bad review, we have proof that we have multiple bad reviews, not just the one, over that course of a year and a half.
May I see, and I'd like to see them. Did you write more than one negative review? Okay, I'm going to take a look at them.
That's what I posted. Oh, I'm sorry, this is what I posted right here. I gave you the wrong copy.
Oh, well, this is a different one where you say last water haulers suggested we had to kiss whatever or they would not show. They rarely answered a call or a text in a timely manner. I was even late to a party posted at my home. I had zero water and couldn't shower, couldn't get in touch with anybody. The last straw was Friday. They dropped us on a holiday weekend and said that they would see us on Tuesday.
I don't think that was a review, Your Honor.
Was this not a review?
I don't believe so.
No, it wasn't a review. It was a comment.
Yep.
It was a comment. Mm-hmm. It was still out there, alive, out there. So it was really a tit for tat. You got tired?
He wrote that review on my page, so I decided to write a true review about her page.
Perfect. So did I get that all right? Good. A pox on both your houses.
Brenda Langley has accused business owner Amber Howard of defaming her pet daycare business. Amber claims Brenda created negative reviews a year after their dispute ended.
I'm looking to see what you posted about her.
He's got it.
You go, Judge.
Thank you. Okay. So you posted this on October the 30th, and this is on a Facebook?
Yes.
We used to supply water for the puppy pool here 3 times a week, and our drivers witnessed on multiple occasions the staff mistreating dogs in their care. They would see on multiple occasions dog feces in the pool before they would fill it up. We were going to send our dog there before we knew all this, but I told our dog was too small and they could not accommodate him. Now that I know the kind of business they run, I'm thankful I kept my pet out of their care. I would think twice before sending your beloved pet there. And then Lucky Puppy, that would be you. Funny, I just gave you a poor review on your page. The difference is our review is true. Your review is defamation of character. You can remove your untrue statements or you can be sued. Your choice. So now I'm going to ask you sort of the same question. The incident happened on Labor Day of 2021. October 30th, and that would be of 2022?
Correct.
So between the time that they ceased to be customers of yours and a year later, what happened that caused you to write this negative review?
So as you can see in the evidence I gave you, she all the time was just saying negative things about our business. We never had said anything about
so it
her
was,
business.
just a second. So the answer was, it was tit for tat.
Correct.
It was tit for tat. She was writing negative reviews about your business.
Mm-hmm.
So you wrote, which I just determined were untrue. So you wrote a negative review about her business.
Correct.
A year later. I mean, if you were really concerned about the pets, you would have written it immediately. So it was really a tit for tat. You
Correct.
got tired.
She wrote that review on my page, so I decided to write a true review about her page.
Perfect. So did I get that all right? Good. A pox on both your houses.
May I say something, please?
Sure.
So what she accused us of is illegal.
Just a second.
We have to keep sanitary conditions, and we have
Just a second. How do I know that one of their drivers didn't report seeing feces in the pool? How do I know that?
I've been there before and asked them why they didn't need water that currently week, that they're going to need it, the 2,000 gallons on Wednesday like they normally do. And he said we just had to get the dogs out just because we realized there was feces in there. They said it happens a few times a year. So it was not a statement.
Whatever. It's their business, madam. Just like this is your business. If you run a dirty place,
I don't. That's the whole thing.
Just a second.
My statements were true. Theirs were untrue.
Well, they don't run an irresponsible business. In your reviews, you're suggesting that they are irresponsible and also thieves, because in one of your reviews, you say they were shorting us on water.
Yes, they were.
That's what you say. And you said it not only a year later, you said it during the course of the year. And it was their business. Their business is as important to them as yours is to you. So if you're going to weaponize these reviews, then you both deserve what you got. You're not supposed to do that. If you were legitimately concerned about the dogs, you would have reported it right away. What this was tit for tat, so you deserve each other. Claim and counterclaim are dismissed. Goodbye.
This court is adjourned.
My thing was that they accused us of breaking the law, and it was totally untrue. My statements were true. Whether they were in the wrong or not, they were true statements, and hers were complete fabrication.
I mean, we had been dealing with it for about a year and a half, so I was just really shocked when I received the paperwork in the mail, since I did delete the review, since she did threaten to sue me, so I did delete it.
Look at reviews, and if you can't find them, go somewhere else.
I wanted both of us to be successful businesses, because we live in a small community and our businesses do not, we're not in direct competition with each other. So I wish her well, and I would hope she would wish our business well.
People like me just learn to look at a restaurant and see what the reviews are. And you sort of assume that people of goodwill, if they're going to post something that's negative, it's because they had a negative experience. And I think it's such a shame that it's become a way to weaponize legitimate reviews where the plaintiff in this case, had absolutely no clue that the problem on Labor Day was her fault.
Yeah.
She had a perfectly reasonable relationship with them for over a year. She said they paid him in advance. She never said anything about shorting water.
It's just the power of the internet. I mean, now today, I know there are people that will cancel businesses for reasons completely unrelated to the business, but if you act out, you say the wrong thing, you display a negative character trait in public, people will go to your business's page completely unrelated to anything in the business and just flood the page. I'm talking thousands. They will get thousands of people to write bad reviews about a business, especially if something went viral or if the owners of the business, if they were in a viral video that was not nice. It's the power of the internet and cancel culture.
Well, the internet can be a tool for good and wonderful, or as we know, it can be a very dark place.
Yep.
But it can't be a very dark place without mean-spirited or bad people. And there are mean-spirited and bad people. You know, I don't know how you protect yourself from something like that. I really don't know how you protect yourself.
The consumer has to be smart in reading the reviews and how much weight they're giving reviews. I like when businesses respond to especially the negative reviews. And sometimes they're funny because if the defendants had responded to the plaintiff's review publicly, you know, so people like you and I who were thinking about using them for water delivery could see it, they'd say, oh, interesting. We called twice and you weren't home and you didn't have our money.
That's the response.
And so I like to see that because it calls out the person who left the negative review. But obviously there's downsides to a business. You don't want to get into a back and forth with every person that leaves a negative review. But sometimes when it's warranted,
you respond to it. But the response isn't to post a negative review about you.
Exactly.
You're right.
Fatoumata Diallo is suing salon owner Kanaya Taylor for 5 wigs.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2008, Diallo versus Taylor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Briefly, and then I'll get into specifics. You sold over the internet some wigs. You claim you sold them to the defendant.
Yes.
They were charged on a credit card. According to you, it was the defendant's credit card. You shipped the wigs. The defendant, according to you, received the wigs, then challenged the credit card charge, and the charge was reversed so that you did not get your money. And Ms. Taylor kept the wigs. It is Ms. Taylor's claim that you never sold her the wigs, that you sold the wigs to clients of hers, and if they didn't pay you, that's not her problem. Is that your defense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Stop jumping up and down because it makes me seasick.
Okay.
Stand still. I can't. You can't. You want a stool to sit on?
No.
You sure?
I just have anxiety.
Okay. Ms. Diallo, how long had you been in the online wig business?
3 years now.
And on what date did Ms. Taylor contact you?
October 1st of 2021.
Had you ever dealt with her before?
I haven't. A customer of mine actually referred her to me.
You had not dealt with her before?
Correct.
And her first order was for what?
A 34-inch deep wave wig unit.
I don't know what that is. Tell me how much it cost you.
$391.
And how much did you charge Ms. Taylor?
$491.96.
And you shipped it to her?
No, I didn't.
Where did you ship it?
Right now, I didn't ship anything at the moment.
Okay, so she ordered the first one for $491.
Yes, and then after that, I shipped after.
How many did she order all in total?
In total, 5.
Within what period of time?
In the span of 4 days.
Okay, and Ms. Taylor, you do not deny the fact that 5 wigs were ordered in a conversation over the internet with the plaintiff. Uh-huh is not an answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a copy of those orders?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see them, please. Who's Joyce?
One of my clients. Your Honor, that's her.
Do you have a MasterCard?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever?
No, ma'am.
Do you have any credit card?
Yes, ma'am.
How long has Joyce been a client of yours?
Probably about a year.
When you say she's a client of yours, she comes to your salon?
Yes.
You have a salon?
My apartment. No, I have to do my hair out of my apartment.
So she comes to your apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
And how do you know when she wants to come for an appointment?
She'll text me. She'll DM me.
Okay, so she texts you, which means she texts you from a phone.
Right.
Which means that you have your phone, which shows her text messages.
Not.
What do you mean, not? If she texts you for an appointment, then you know how to contact her.
Yeah.
And she knows how to contact you. I want to see that. I want to call her.
I don't have that phone anymore.
Get it. You have to understand where I'm going. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yes, you understand where I'm going. Who is that?
My boyfriend.
Your boyfriend. What does he have to do with this?
Because he was at the house when her and someone else came to the door.
I don't care.
Okay.
If I were coming to court today and I knew that there was going to be a certain amount of proof that involved some person who is named Joyce, and order confirmation email was sent to Joyce at your email address.
Right.
Right. And Joyce is somebody who was a client of yours for a year, not too long ago, who's no longer a client of yours. Not uh-huh. Uh-huh isn't an answer. Yes is an answer.
Ma'am.
But you can't give me her number to call because you lost your phone.
Yes. And she blocked me after I started asking her about the dispute.
Well, just a second. Well, that's two different things. You see, if she may have blocked your number, she won't block my number. That's not what you told me. You told me you don't have that phone anymore.
I don't.
Well,
and she blocked me.
How do I know that?
Her. I don't know.
How do I know that?
Did.
Yeah, right. Okay. Dora Dynasty, is that your?
Yes, that's my business.
That's your business. Well, these wigs were sent to Dora Dynasty.
Right.
Right, I know right. And who is?
A client.
And is still your client?
No.
No. Okay, you seem to be having a lot of trouble in your business.
How?
Yeah.
I've been having this trouble ever since the wigs have got delivered, and she hit me about a dispute.
Let me explain something to you. You purchased the wigs based upon her conversation.
I got
she had
them sent to my house.
Just pay careful attention to me. They were all delivered to you.
Right.
That means you bought them. If somebody stiffed you, that's not her problem. But according to her, and you acknowledge that she sent you 5 wigs, and the is not an answer. Do you understand? You following me? Okay. What was the total value of her purchase?
$21.96.
And can I see the reversal of that charge on your credit card?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, at some point, your credit card was charged. At some point, your credit card was charged. That's either a yes or a no.
No.
Whose credit card was charged?
My client's.
Which client?
I'm not sure. Whichever wig she said was disputed.
You said in your answer you kept all the wigs.
No, I didn't. I didn't keep all the wigs. They got delivered to my house. 2 of them I installed, and the rest they picked up.
The wigs got shipped directly to my salon.
The wig shipped to my apartment because I was going to do their hair. I told them about the vendor.
Are you trying to tell me that despite the records that she has, that you were the contact person on all of this,
right?
Nobody else,
right?
Just you,
right?
That you gave these wigs to somebody else,
they
to 4 other people.
For them.
They paid who?
They paid her. They paid for the wigs and they got them shipped to my house.
Were 4 different people charged for the wigs?
Yes.
4 different people?
Yes. She did 5 different transactions.
Are you telling me that the 5 different transactions were all her?
All her.
That makes my life easy. So what you're saying to me, she charged it on 5 different cards.
Yes.
No, I didn't.
But she is all of those people.
All of them.
How?
I'd like to see it.
Please.
And Your Honor, she also admits it on Twitter. She doesn't actually know I have her Twitter account. And this is how she gets them. She orders,
May I just see it, please? See how you're smiling? Bad. She should have left you home.
Man, please.
Do you understand? She should have left you home.
Nah, they just ain't
You
communicating
should have left
right.
you home.
They ain't communicating right.
Still not a good look from you.
Fatoumata Diallo claims salon owner Kanaya Taylor owes for the cost of 5 wigs.
What's Beauty?
That's her business name. Business Twitter.
I don't have a Twitter.
Right.
I have an Instagram, 2 of them.
I have
and a business page. That's what I have. I don't have a Twitter. Do you have my Instagram?
I do.
Don't talk to each other. Don't ask her any questions. That's so interesting.
What?
From Dora Salon, is that it? Or Dora Salon?
Yes, ma'am.
No.
I have her LLC.
Just a second. Yeah. Can I see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Dora Dynasty.
And here's her LLC, so it matches.
I'd like to see it.
And here you go as well.
Well, this is from Beauty at...
No.
What do you mean, no?
No, my business name is Dora Dynasty.
Yeah. Dora Salon 1 Beauty, Dora Dynasty LLC, Dora's Dynasty.
Right.
And about the same time, the tweet is over 2,000 in wigs. I'll smack those. And then on the 13th, you write, my wigs come tomorrow. And then on October 11th, I'll be wrong if I dispute it once I get it. And then I don't know. What did the...
Because,
what is,
ma'am,
just a sec. I'm reading something. Is not an answer. I didn't ask you anything. What does that mean, Sarah?
It's just an emoji, like, so what? I don't care.
Oh, I'll be wrong if I dispute it once I get it, so what? But was so rude I can't even ask them questions, telling me I didn't read it. And then she writes, see how you're smiling? Bad, she should have left you home.
Man, please.
Do you understand? She should have left you home.
Nah, they just ain't
You
communicating
should have left
right.
you home.
They ain't communicating right.
I paid all this money for these wigs and these slow rolling, wow. I assume that those people, the clients that you were talking about, was slow rolling. Would that be a fair statement? I mean, I'm not familiar with all of this. And then you show me in these tweets, or whatever they call them, a picture that was put up by Boo. Is that a name?
Yes.
Now, what is that?
That's her client actually contacting me and telling me that she's charged her for the wigs and that she was never a stylist to begin with.
How did I upcharge the fee when they paid for it themselves?
Nobody hears you, madam. Okay, so you acknowledge you got them. Your statement is you no longer have them. She didn't make a deal with you. She made a deal with 4 other phantom clients, 2 of whom either you lost your phone, the dog ate your phone, you don't have the number anymore, you don't have the contact anymore, but we don't know how to get in touch with him. And then there was somebody that actually was wearing one of the wigs that she didn't get paid for, that she got from you.
That's not true.
Could I see the invoice and the chargeback, please?
Yes.
Still not a good look from you.
Well, I'm glad.
Yeah, not a good look.
It's funny because it's not true.
Not a good look. You the boyfriend?
Yeah.
Stand up for a minute. Just have a couple of questions. Tell me your name.
Braylon, right?
What do you do for a living?
I'm a barber.
Do you live together?
Yes.
How long have you lived together?
Going on a year.
So you were living with her when these wigs were delivered?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, would be an answer. Were you there when she opened the wigs?
One wig she had to put together for a client. Then she opened, she told me she was doing, I know her. I don't be in no business like that.
So the answer is you were only there when one wig was delivered?
I was only there when she opened one wig.
When she opened one.
And I took her to go pick up a wig from her.
Did you drive her there?
Yeah.
Did you go in with her?
No. She came outside. She walked across the street and got it.
Don't speak. Don't speak. She walked across the street and got it.
From her, yeah. Downtown.
Your Honor, she was actually driving.
Do you work out of the apartment as well?
No.
You work out of a shop?
Yes.
Are you ever there when your girlfriend is working on clients in your house, in your apartment?
Yeah, I've been there.
Often?
Not really, I be gone. Working hours, I'm working. If she work at the house, I'm working at the shop.
How many rooms are in the place where you and the defendant live?
At the time, we was in a 2-bedroom apartment.
And who was there, just the 2 of you?
No, we had a roommate.
So you had 1 bedroom for yourselves, you had a roommate, and then there was a common area, kitchen, living room, right?
Yes.
Where did she conduct her salon business, in what room?
What it would be like dining room area connected.
In the dining.
Yeah.
And is that where she kept her equipment?
Yes.
Is that where she kept her materials?
Yes.
How many wigs did you see in that dining room area at any one time during the time you were living there?
Maybe 1 she was working on the door, 2, maybe 2 at the most.
You paid rent in the apartment?
Did I pay rent? Nah.
Did she pay rent?
Yes.
How much?
It was like, what, $1,200?
Don't ask her anything.
$1,200. I don't pay the rent, $1,200. I don't pay it, so I don't know.
Why don't you pay anything towards rent?
I don't have to pay the rent if I pay the bills, I pay car notes, I pay different stuff. We 50-50.
Well, if it's 50-50, then you would also pay part of the rent.
Not if it add up to both our car notes, rent, which really be a little bit more.
Okay, so you pay the other bills, she pays the rent.
Yeah, I moved in with her. I ain't lived there the whole time. I told you it only be like a year. She was already staying there. I moved in.
With what did you pay the car note? With a check?
No, I pay with either a car or my money.
Your girlfriend, does she have a car?
Does she have a car?
Yes, yes or no?
Not right now, she did.
Did she?
Yes.
What kind of a car did she have?
Chevrolet Sonic.
And what happened to that car?
It got, whatever, repo.
It was repossessed.
They was scamming me on my insurance.
Just a second. I didn't ask you anything. I'm asking your witness.
Okay.
You brought him.
All right. I'm not the only person you suing. If I pulled up
nobody
and bought a vehicle, why wouldn't I do
nobody
that?
is listening to you.
Okay, well, can I leave?
No.
Fatoumata Diallo has accused salon owner Kanaya Taylor of stealing 5 wigs. Kanaya says Fatoumata was trying to scam her.
So the car was repossessed. When? Don't look at her. Give me a month, give me a year. Was it recent, in the last 3 months, 4 months?
I can't give you a month.
So it was repossessed because of non-payment of whatever the note was, because that's the only basis to repossess a car. Okay. Now, you say you're not living in that same apartment anymore. You were living in this 2-bedroom apartment with a roommate.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh is not an answer.
Yeah.
Yes is an answer. And you're no longer living in that apartment.
No.
And what happened to that apartment?
I moved. She moved with me.
Okay. You moved when?
November.
November of 2021.
Yes.
Just about the time of all these disputes over wigs. Did your roommate remain in the apartment?
Yes.
Did you have a lease in that apartment?
Yes.
Was your lease over, or did you move out during the lease?
It was over, and I renewed it for my roommate.
Now, the lease was in your name.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh is not an answer. Yes is an
ma'am.
answer, and you renewed the lease even though you moved out.
Yes, ma'am.
Where are you living now?
In Conyers.
What kind of place?
House. And I pay all the bills.
And what does your girlfriend do?
She works.
What does she do?
She does lashes. She does hair. She does nails. She's an entrepreneur.
Does she have a website?
Yes.
Yes. What's the name of her website? You think?
Yeah, I think. I don't be on her. I don't shop with her.
Got it?
Looking.
Did you have a conversation with Miss Taylor about these 5 wigs? Did you have a conversation with her?
Yes.
Do you have a cell phone?
Me? No.
Did you ever have a cell phone?
Yes.
What happened to your cell phone?
I broke it, so I went on another one.
And you didn't get another one?
It have to get sent to the house. I just broke it. Like, I just broke it.
You just broke it?
Yeah.
So
last
you
week.
have a cell phone. Tell me how you broke the cell phone.
I got real angry and I threw it.
You got angry with somebody?
Yes.
And tell me how your girlfriend lost her cell phone.
Oh, she gave it to me.
And when did she lose her cell phone?
She gave me that phone. I bought her another phone. She gave me that phone.
So she gave you,
around.
just a second. So she gave you the phone that she had been using?
Yes.
Which had Joyce information on it. That was the phone she gave you.
I guess I don't know Joyce. I don't know who Joyce is.
Sit down. Ms. Taylor, you want to be in business, you have to pay for what you ordered. It's
Yeah,
absolutely,
okay.
I'm not speaking to you, it's absolutely outrageous that she sent you these wigs, they were delivered to your house, and she not only doesn't have the wig, she doesn't have not only her profit, she doesn't have any money. And you've got a lot of clients that you can't identify, and phones that got lost, and information that you don't have. And information that you don't have, that you don't have. Clients that are no longer clients, that blocked you. I mean, people who block you after you work for them for a year, that means that you're either doing a lousy job.
No, because the way she came at me, I actually chumped them off because I feel like you're messing up my business. So I chumped them off, and I guess she didn't want to reply, and she just blocked me.
2196, judgment for the plaintiff.
Your Honor, I have other text messages. I was out of business for like month and a half.
I have to tell you something. I can't discern whether you lost business or not because of this. I cannot discern that.
Mm-hmm.
I can give you back the money that you lost as a result of shipping her 5 wigs and not getting compensated for it.
And I also have court fees, and I ordered a PI as well.
But
Just a second.
More people
that I
than
will
just me
hear.
for wigs.
What
You
were
the
your
scammer.
court fees?
I'm not the only person you suing. If I pulled up
Nobody
and bought a wig, why wouldn't I do
nobody
that?
is listening to you.
Okay, well, can I leave?
No.
'Cause it's
Court fees.
like...
And I also have my incident report that day.
Just a second. Would you please just give me the court fees? You said you had court fees and you hired an investigator.
Yes, I did.
And I'd like to see that invoice, because that you're entitled to.
I have the text messages of my PI.
I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is that you're handing me. I asked you what the court fees were.
I have my PI phone number.
You have nothing.
I didn't print out my court fees, but I do have my more.
Do you have an invoice from the investigator that you say that you hired?
Yes.
And the work that they did?
Yes, I have all the messages.
I don't want messages. I need an invoice, a payment.
I did a payment, $400, and we had the text message trying to find her everything.
Can I see it, please? It was $250 for skip tracing and $150 for service.
My sales went down.
Just a second. Did this person serve her?
Yes, they did.
$21.96, judgment for the plaintiff. That's it. We're
This
done.
court is adjourned.
I never did it. You know, I just got it sent to my house.
We went through everything. We had to go through birthdays.
It's like saying, oh, I know a friend that they know how to cut hair.
Text messages, everything.
And then you don't like your haircut. What, you want me to pay for your haircut? Like, girl.
We literally hawked her down for the information.
She honestly messed up my clientele.
It would be easy to be forthcoming with me and saying, these are the clients who I sold it to. I gave her the information. They were supposed to pay her, whatever, but she didn't.
A lot of running around.
A lot of
circle
running
story.
around, and there's no question that the plaintiff sold her those wigs. She made a markup. She made a 25% markup. That's okay. And I'm certain that she put in the wigs and made her own markup. You know, that's commerce. But this ability to reverse charges on a credit card and to have somebody, and it's usually just a person, we're not talking about a committee or a tribunal that determine whether or not the charge was legitimate, just to reverse it. And then where are you? You're left without your product. Very frustrating.
It's a double-edged sword. It can be very useful. I've had to do that on a few different occasions. And the process is very hidden and sort of behind the curtain. And I fear for people like the plaintiff who run their own business, hardworking people who make the best money on the internet because there's no overhead fee of running a store. But these are some of the risks and things that you have to ensure before you get into business.
Well, too bad. Too bad people don't do the right thing. If they did the right thing, we'd be out of business.
Suing her former employer, Kimberly Stewart, for unpaid wages and defamation of character.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2103, Horn versus Stewart.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Horn, it is your allegation that the defendant, for whom you worked for a relatively short period of time, owes you some wages.
Yes, ma'am.
And in addition to owing you wages, you are suing her because you claim she defamed you by calling you a drug addict.
And she went to my board telling them that I did other acts.
Well, you can't tell me what she told anybody else because that's hearsay.
Could I give you the evidence?
No, you have to wait until I'm finished.
Okay.
That's your claim, that she owes you money for wages that you weren't compensated for and that she defamed you. The defendant says that you were an hourly employee. You were, in fact, paid for the hours that you worked. I assume that you are claiming that she paid for the hours that she worked. She has a counterclaim, and her counterclaim is that after you separated, parted company, you posted some very damaging and defamatory comments on the internet about her organization. So why don't we start with you, Ms. Stewart, and tell me what kind of an organization you have.
Your Honor, what we do is that we provide opportunities for people who have substance abuse, behavioral health, who may need education services such as getting their GED. We do skills training. We have employers that will staff them as well. And we also provide substance abuse and behavioral health services.
Is it a 501c3 organization?
No, we are a for-profit company as a corporation.
And how many employees do you have?
We currently have 7 employees.
And when did Ms. Horn come to work for you? What was she hired to do?
She was hired as the clinical director, and she started on July 21st, 2022.
Okay, before I go to Ms. Horn, I want you to tell me what special training did you have, or is it required to have? You're the director of this?
I'm the VP of operations.
Okay. Is there any special training that you had?
Besides having the master's in accounting, I have my own accounting firm.
Okay, so you have a master's in accounting and you have your own firm?
Yes.
Okay, and you do operations for this? Okay, and Ms. Horn, I'd like you to tell me what your educational background. You were hired as the clinical director.
Yes, ma'am.
So tell me about your educational background.
I've been in the field for 15 years. I have a master's in counseling psychology. I have my LPC, which is an independent licensure. And so when she wanted to do illegal practices...
No, you're getting ahead of yourself, Ms. Horn.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you answer an ad?
Yes, ma'am. I went for the interview, and when I showed up for the interview, she told me that I could not oversee the clinicians, BHTs, and case managers, and that I could not sign off on notes because I had an LPC. I got the board on the phone that day, and
You're getting far ahead of yourself, Ms. Horn, and I'm just telling you, who is this person?
My dad, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm just telling you that what you're doing is by not just answering my questions, you're not serving your cause well.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Don't tell me what she told you she couldn't do. You started working for her on what date?
The date that I actually started working for her was July 27th, 2022.
And were you an hourly employee?
No, I was a salary employee. Could I show you?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sarah, would you bring up a July calendar for me? I want to see the days in July.
I have it.
Okay, so this was an offer, and it was a pretty nice job. Paid on a bi-weekly basis, $115,000 a year, with an increase the following year. The work offer was contingent upon a background check.
Yes, ma'am.
A drug test.
Yes, ma'am.
Participation in training, and any other safety measurements for staffing. So between July 21st and July 27th, when you started, was a background check completed?
It was completed.
That's all I wanted to know. Was completed. Was a drug test completed?
Yes,
Not
ma'am.
before she started. No.
Just a second. Between July 21st and July 27th, was a drug test conducted?
Yes, ma'am.
It was conducted, but on the 28th, her drug test was done on the 28th of July, after she had started.
Okay, so you took it on the 28th.
Yes, ma'am.
I need from the 27th to August 3rd.
Yeah, the 27th was a Wednesday.
Yes.
August 3rd was the following Wednesday.
Okay, so she worked Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
And then the following
Monday and Tuesday.
The third
No,
would
ma'am.
be that Wednesday.
5 days.
No, ma'am. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of the last week. Her grand opening was the Thursday of that week that I quit. And what she is talking about, I talked about at the beginning before I took the drug test, and they said that it was no problem. I take medication that's prescribed by doctors, and I have proof that I take medication by doctors, and I'm not a drug addict.
Well, I don't want to get into what medication that you take that's prescribed by doctors. I would assume that we're not talking about blood pressure medication, and we're not talking about medication for migraines, and we're not talking about stuff to take care of rashes on your arm.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So let's say you worked there for 6 days. How much were you paid?
I was paid $55.29 an hour, but I worked those 7 days.
How much were you paid in total?
So the last paycheck that they gave me, $909.58.
May I see it?
Yes, ma'am. And I want to send up, I think I have the credit card because she had owed me money. And here are the days that I worked.
What is
circled?
Do you have a paycheck?
She did not give me a paycheck. The first one was a paycheck. The others were direct.
I want to know how much she paid you in total. Let's have it.
So for just wages itself,
that's all I want to know.
I was paid.
You want to tell me, do you have records, Ms. Stewart, about how much the plaintiff was paid by your organization?
She received 2 checks. She was paid $1,903.38.
$1,903. And that was for?
When we did the drug test, she was gone for over 5 hours. Drug testing are supposed to be done before or after work hours. Then she returned back to the facility between 4:30 and 5 p.m. that day and said that she had an emergency, that her friend was in the hospital, and so she could not work anytime. Then after that, on the next pay period, Sherna wasn't.
She really only was with you for 1 week?
Yes.
On what date did you tell her that?
About the 28th, yeah.
On the 28th, did you tell her that on the 21st?
No.
I'm just asking you.
No, because what happened that day was it was a confused interview where I was about to walk out.
Okay. Well, I'm getting unconfused.
Sharna Horn is suing her former employer, Kimberly Stewart, for unpaid wages and defamation of character. Kimberly is countersuing for property damage and slander.
So she really only was with you for 1 week?
Correct. And then on the next pay period, because she was paid for those 3 days and the time that she took off, we put her on the hourly rate because she didn't work a solid 2 weeks. But at any rate, we paid her for the time and days she was there. And so we don't owe her any money. She was paid.
Well, you were actually paid almost $2,000 and you were there for 5 days.
What she said was a lie. I never took off time.
Just a sec, I said something. Don't say what she said was a lie. You were paid almost $2,000 and you worked for 5 days.
7 days.
Well, when you went to take your drug test, what time did you leave?
Well, the other person...
Just what time did you leave?
I did not leave from anything. I did it on my own before I started.
So is what you're telling me that the defendant was incorrect when she said that you were gone from the facility?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have anything to support that she was gone for 4 hours?
Ma'am, she was gone for half the day because that's when she ran into my office and said, hey, there's some stuff that's going to show up. Will I be fired? Or am I going to have a job? So
when did you have that discussion with her?
That was on the 28th of July.
Did you ask her what substances?
Yes.
Did she tell you?
Yes.
Okay. From my information, Ms. Horn, how much do you think, in addition to the $19.03 that you were paid, do you think you're owed?
10 hours, ma'am.
10 hours. Which 10 hours?
That's from the week of the second week, not the first week, because I never left. I actually stayed late the day before their grand opening because she ordered a sofa.
Are you charging her for those hours that you stayed late?
Yes, because that's work.
No. Okay. What else? Right now we're just playing with time.
I passed everything and I was told I would be fine.
Just a second. Who told you that? She?
Yes, ma'am.
When did she tell you you would be fine?
I went to her. I said, there's going to be a drug test. Here's the medications that I take.
On what date did you tell her that?
About the 28th, yeah.
On the 28th, did you tell her that on the 21st?
No.
I'm just asking you.
No, because what happened that day was it was a confused interview where I was about to walk out.
Okay. Well, I'm getting unconfused. So you went into her before she got the results of the test and asked her specifically, these are the medications that I take. This is what's going to show up. Is it going to be a problem?
This is common, Your Honor.
Is who?
This is common in my field, to take drug tests before all the field.
You're going to answer my question.
Yes, ma'am.
My question is, if you knew that it might have been a problem, you did not tell that to her on the 21st of July or the 22nd or the 23rd or when you started, but not until either right before or right after you took the drug test. That's when you said you went into her office and said, these are the medications that I take. Is it going to be a problem?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Horn, actually, I'm glad you're here with your daughter.
May I talk to her for a minute?
No.
Okay.
You may not talk to
Could I show you a picture of the inside of the facility of what happened in that facility, please?
No. You left. And
Yes,
I
ma'am.
find that the records are so, actually, you don't have records, unless that's something that you want to show me. You wanted to show
do.
me something about your employment hours? You were paid almost $2,000 for the few days you worked there. As far as I'm concerned, it didn't work out. You hated it there, and she wasn't crazy about you.
Because I had to leave because I was going to be violating state law and federal law, which she's already done, Your Honor.
I'm going to ask you, and you've been doing what you're doing for 15 years.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what job you had that lasted more than 3 years.
I've moved
Tell me who you worked for in the last 15 years, more than 3 years.
I can't because I was in graduate school and then I went to
So you weren't,
PhD.
just a second, so you weren't in this field for 15 years, you were in school.
I've been seeing clients since 2007.
Privately?
No.
Well, what I asked you is, who did you work for in the last 15 years, more than 3 years?
University.
Is that where you went to school?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that where you went to school for how many years?
5 years.
Your father wants to have a word with you before I'm finishing up with this case. You want to have a conversation with her?
You're blowing it. You answer her question directly and don't go anywhere else.
Okay.
Was that helpful?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We're leaving the salary that you think you're owed. You say that the defendant called you a drug addict and thereby limited your ability in your chosen field. So show me, tell me.
I would like to submit the board allegations because everything...
Just a second.
And may I provide the timeline for what happened?
What I want to know is, what is this?
That is a falsified document.
No, just say it is a document.
To my board stating that I did things that I did not do. I highlighted the bottom.
To your board or to the board?
Shh. Okay, so this says a complaint was filed against you with the Arizona Board of Behavioral Health complaint alleges that you may have committed an act of unprofessional practice. If this is somebody filed a complaint against you.
She lodged a false complaint.
Shh. No, somebody lodged a complaint against you.
Yes, ma'am.
Doesn't say who lodged a complaint against you. It says a complaint has been filed. You didn't file this document.
Yes, she did.
Excuse me?
It's her signature at the bottom.
The types of documentation that were filed was list of medications, harassing and threatening emails and text messages, and budget left in desk. I don't know what that means.
She said I had all of my possessions, but how did she only have my budget?
I'm telling you that this is what it says.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? The CEO filed this document, and you swore to the accuracy of this document. Well, this report says that you were complaining that the person who was doing intake had to have a master's level. Don't look at any papers. That's what you were complaining.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
your first complaint.
Yes,
that
ma'am.
the person doing intake, and somebody said to you that the person who was doing intake was just taking basic information, and once the basic information was taken, they would be assigned to somebody else. But that's
Your
what
Honor,
it said.
She said that she wanted to get some substance use information. My state board gave me this paper that I'd like to submit.
Just a second. I don't care about your state board, actually. The question is, does she owe you any money? She doesn't owe you any money for salary. I've already determined that. I see what she was supposed to pay you. It's not that you were working there for days. You have hours that you think you want to be paid for. That's not happening. You were paid almost $2,000, and what I gather was a very acrimonious few days. I mean, you're talking about either 5 days or 7 days. You were compensated. Forget it. Do you have any security footage of her?
I do.
Put your hand down.
She said she had.
Put your hand down.
You're going to see the video.
No.
Not the video. She stated in a document she had video of it.
I don't think you understand the court process.
Sharna Horn has accused her former employer, Kimberly Stewart, of defaming her. Kimberly claims Sharna caused property damage and slandered her business.
Okay, the only other thing that I have to determine is whether or not she called you a drug addict. Now, would you show me where she called you a drug addict?
It wasn't just the drug addict. It was the false documents that I
No. She's allowed to file a complaint against you,
But I
madam.
never had a police officer come to me, question me, or anything. So if I did it, they would have come to me.
Just a second. What I'm telling you is she is allowed to file a complaint against you.
Yes, ma'am.
They have a responsibility to look into the allegations of that complaint. Did they either sustain the allegations in this complaint? Well, this is just August, so I assume they haven't completed the investigation, or have they?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so they have not.
That's why I'm filing defamation, because this is doing it on purpose.
I'll let you have one more go at it. You say she's doing this on purpose.
Hold on.
Do you have...
Yes, I have my father, who's a witness from court one day.
What court?
Can I explain?
Don't speak.
We were in court because they tried to file an injunction for harassment, and the judge, my dad...
Just a second. Went to file an injunction against you for harassment?
Yes, ma'am. Right after I went to the police.
Just a second. And were you served with a document?
No, ma'am.
Well, then how did you end up in court?
I saw the document on my door, and unlike the defendant, I went to the court to take care of it. You can laugh all you want, but I took care of it.
You have to be served with it.
I'm actually finished. I asked one question, and you tell me that you have the answer to that question. We're going to repeat the question. Whitney's going to, and don't go off on this question. Just stick to what the question was. She said they did this thing, it's sort of either retaliation or on purpose, or...
She said that's why I'm filing defamation, because she's doing it on purpose.
On purpose. Okay, and it was the on purpose, and you said you wanted your father to testify to that and on purpose. Now go. Stand up next to your daughter. You are limited to the following. You are limited to telling me proof that you have on behalf of your daughter that the defendant has filed these charges against her, not on purpose, because she absolutely did them on purpose, but I assume that you meant maliciously.
Yes, ma'am.
Now I'll hear you.
Okay, I'm going to keep this in secret.
Maliciously. What evidence do you have that the defendant filed this complaint and swore to this complaint maliciously?
I have no proof, but...
Then you have no proof. Then you can sit down.
Right, but that's not the question she asked.
All I want to know is maliciously. Now you can sit down. Okay, now we're going to get to the last question that I have for you, and then we're done. Do you have anything in writing where she called you a drug addict?
Your Honor, in the complaint to my board.
Okay, we're done. We're done. So now we're on your case. Now we're on your counterclaim. Your counterclaim is for property damage. What property?
I will show you the documentation to the counterclaim.
Just a second. Don't tell me that you have documentation. It's a shattered window. When was the window shattered?
The window was actually shattered on August and let me make sure I get you accurate dates. I'm sorry.
Did you witness it being shattered?
No, ma'am.
If you didn't witness it being shattered, what proof do you have that if... Put your hand down.
Yes, ma'am.
Put your hand down.
I don't have it up.
Oh, put it down. Very good. Better.
We don't have witness.
If you don't have witness, then you don't have proof.
Okay.
Any other property damage? Shattered window? Anything else?
It was a broke lock. The day that she was, can I say this?
No. I'm very easy.
No, I'm saying the day that she came out and sent the police to our facility on a Saturday, the lock, I saw her leaving that day, and our lock was broken off of our gate.
All I want to know is, did anyone witness her either?
No.
Then the answer is no. Do you have any security footage of her?
I do.
Put your hand down.
She said she had.
Put your hand down.
You're going to see the video.
No.
Not the video. She stated in a document she had video of it.
Just a second.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't think you understand the court process. So I'm not going to tell you. I've dismissed your case, and I'm getting very close to dismissing hers. I'm dismissing those parts of her complaint which allege property damage because she has no witnesses that you, in fact, committed property damage. There's no reason for you to continue looking up papers. Your case is dismissed. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am. It's about
very clearly. Now, the last part of this case has to do with the defendant's allegation that you, in fact, defamed her organization. I'd like to see in writing what you have to prove to me that the plaintiff defamed your organization.
Yes,
I want you to... I didn't ask you for anything. Now it's her proof. Do you understand? What I'm telling you, Ms. Horn, is your behavior is a little off. I'm telling you.
Because I was framed.
Just a second. Your behavior is off. And I've told you why. I've given you specific reasons why. You had two parts of your complaint. One is for wages, which I dismissed, and the other one for calling you a drug addict, which you could not prove.
No.
You're not hearing me. I asked you for proof that she called you a drug addict. You didn't have it. Now, proof that she defamed your organization. May I have it, Kevin?
This is from her and her father. And
just a second. Her father isn't a party to this action.
Can I speak to the counterclaim? Because I have proof from her.
Sure.
Her text. It's her text.
This is from him. I'm not interested in anything from him. Sue him if he said nasty things to you.
Your Honor, it's just not nasty things. This all came about because of everything that Sherna has done, and she doesn't realize is that...
Listen to me.
Yes.
None of this comes from her.
She's on it. Her name is on there.
I don't care whether her name is on it. None of this comes from her. They CC'd her.
This is true.
Put everything away. Put all your papers away. I'm not coming back to you unless I, in fact, see that there's any validity towards her counterclaim. Then I'll come back to you. Right now, your claim is dismissed. Both counts of your claim is dismissed. I've dismissed her claims for shattered window and a broken lock. And these emails do not represent any form of defamation. If you have nothing else, your claim for defamation is dismissed. Do you have anything else? The answer is yes or no.
No, Your
No.
Honor.
We're done. Thank you. Bye.
you.
This court is adjourned.
Thank you. Our facility and myself have done nothing wrong.
I think I got flustered, which is fair.
We're doing everything according to the Arizona State Board and laws.
I actually thought that they paid her. She complained that she hadn't gotten her second paycheck. If you look at the documents say that they went right in and bookkeeping corrected that and sent her out the second paycheck. So that was nonsense. And there was absolutely zero proof that they called her a drug addict.
Except for in a valid document that they filed. which they have a right to do. It wasn't the type of slander we usually see where it's plastered on the internet or anything like that.
And certainly the defendant didn't present any proof other than some nasty emails back and forth by her father.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just being a supportive parent. Anyway, I hope she finds a job that's comfortable for her.
Yeah.
Ryan Davis is suing his former landlord, Alex Zadie, for a false arrest and bail money.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2027, Davis versus Zadie.
Thank you. Mr. Davis, a couple of years ago, you were a tenant of the defendant's.
Correct, Your Honor.
You rented a room from him?
Correct, Your
in
Honor.
his house. For how long?
For about a year, a little over.
From when to when?
2020, I want to say the beginning of the year till about the end.
Do you remember the dates that he was a tenant?
Yes, they're incorrect what he's saying. It was from May of 2020 to November 2020.
Does that sound right, Mr. Davis?
Something like that, yeah.
May, June, July, August, September, October, and when in November did he leave?
I believe it was by the 10th.
This is what your case is about. Briefly, it is your claim that you and Mr. Zadie had some sort of an argument.
Correct.
Which you'll tell me about. And Mr. Zadie called the police. You were taken from the premises.
Mm-hmm.
You were arrested, spent the night in jail, bailed yourself out. And this happened in 2020.
Correct.
In November of 2020. Your lawsuit is for false arrest and actual damages. You had to post bail and for filing a false police report. The reason that you have delayed for 2 years in bringing this case against him is because you say you had another action pending.
Correct, Your Honor.
What was the nature of the other action that you had pending?
It was a speeding issue with the police.
Well, it's not a speeding issue with the police. Were you stopped for speeding?
It
Were
was a
you
28
arrested for speeding?
Yes, I was, Your Honor.
You were arrested for speeding?
Yeah, and they called it a 2800 VC, if my memory serves me correct.
Well, I don't know what that is.
It's, I guess, evading.
Look into it.
In what city and state do you live?
Irvine, California.
Let me understand this. Very few people are arrested for speeding. You remember what you were arrested for, sir? You weren't arrested for speeding.
They called it evading an officer because I didn't pull over right away.
So you were evading an officer. Let's try that, Sarah.
Evading a police officer in a vehicle. It's vehicle code 2800-1.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, what does it say?
Prohibits evading an officer in a vehicle, which means willfully fleeing from a police officer when the officer is pursuing the person in a car or on a bike. The offense is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 1 year in jail.
Okay, so you had a misdemeanor pending, right? Anything else?
No, that was it.
Anything else historically?
Yes, I did have historical priors and cases and stuff from my past. Yes, I did.
Recent past or distant past?
Distant past.
How distant?
Years. I want to say 2004.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't have to go into 2004. So you had this case pending and you felt that it was inappropriate to bring a civil case against him.
Yeah, because I didn't want the cases to intertwine, Your Honor.
They weren't going to intertwine. The case that he brought against you was eventually dismissed.
Correct.
In what month and year was it dismissed?
It was dismissed the same month, about 2 weeks after that.
Is that right?
I believe so.
Okay. So let me understand this. He alleged that you assaulted him or threatened him. You were taken into custody. The DA examined the case and decided not to prosecute it.
Correct.
And that was 2 years ago.
Correct.
Well, I don't know who gave you advice, sir, or whether you did this on your own, but bringing a civil case against someone for something has no impact whatsoever on a pending criminal case, be it a felony or a misdemeanor. You know, if you were driving in a car and someone hit you in the rear in November of 2020, and you waited 2 years to bring that because you had this evading a police officer action and you thought that that was a valid reason, your case would be dismissed for the hit in the rear and whatever injuries you had, because you're supposed to bring these things in a timely fashion.
I understand.
2 years is not a timely fashion. Now that I've suggested that to you, I would like to hear what you say transpired in November 2020, to the best of your recollection.
On November the 9th, 2020, me and my former landlord, Alex Zadie over here, we had an argument about a guest that I had over.
Okay. You had an argument Over the phone or in person?
Over the phone.
Tell me how that phone call was initiated.
He texted me some things, and I called him because I wanted to.
Okay, he texted you. Do you have a copy of that text?
No, I don't have the text.
Do you recall what that text said?
Yes, I do.
Tell me what it said.
I told him that he has to get his girlfriend out of the house because she's been coming in every day and night, staying there.
Okay, so you said, in effect, I rented you this room, not your girlfriend.
Correct.
You got to get her out of the house.
Yes.
Okay.
I had
you remember her name?
To him
just a second. You remember her name?
Not.
What was her name?
Twana.
Now, when you rented the room in May, just a second. When you rented the room in May and you moved in, did Tawana move in with you?
She did not move in with me.
So when you rented the room for yourself in May, you rented the room as a single person?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. And when did you bring Tawana into the room?
It would be once in a while.
No. What month, sir?
I don't recall the exact month.
What month, sir?
It started happening like back in August, every day. It started one day, then every other day, and then it became constant day and night.
For how long?
For a long, long time, till towards the November when it just went out of proportion.
The argument was about having his girlfriend, according to you, practically living there.
Right.
And you didn't want her there?
No.
Okay, because you rented a room to a single man who, until the girlfriend started to come in, I assume you didn't have trouble with.
Right.
So that's what your text message said to him in November. And as a result of that text message, you called him on the phone. I'm just trying to lay out the story.
Okay.
So you called him on the phone, and you said what to him, and he said what to you?
I don't recall exactly what I said to him, but I remember he told me to tell her, get the out, get out my house, get the out right now. Your girlfriend is a. He was saying a bunch of derogatory things over the phone to me, and then hung up in my face. I'm working at the time, so when I came back.
Did you call your girlfriend?
No, I didn't call her.
Did you text her?
We speak regularly. We're talking all
No,
the time.
then.
Yeah, she knew about it. She did.
Don't tell me what she knew. I just asked you if you texted her or called her.
Yeah, I did.
You did. And when you texted or called her, was she in the house? Was she in your room?
No, she was gone already at this time. When we were arguing,
just
she was.
Just a second. Is that because he told her to leave?
No, she was leaving already. She had work to go to. She wasn't living there. She had her own place and job in Lakewood, California. And I would tell him that all the time, but he would always insinuate that, oh, no, she's living there. I'm like, no, she's not. She pays $2,000 in rent.
He lives in the house with you.
Right.
Now, before Tawana, had you had any difficulty with him? You
None
moved
at
in
all.
May. May, did you have any difficulty? No.
No.
June, did you have any difficulty?
No.
July, did you have any difficulty?
No.
No. You didn't have difficulty until Tawana came.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was the difficulty. So he told you in a very rude way, if I accept that, to get Tawana out of his house.
Correct, Your Honor.
Then you came home from work. What time did you get home from work?
About 9-ish.
And Tawana was gone.
Yeah, she was gone.
Had she taken her things?
There was nothing for her to take. She didn't bring stuff over there. She wasn't living there.
No, but she came over there and stayed a few days a week and never had
Maybe
any
an
stuff.
overnight bag.
Okay,
That's
but
it.
she took it with her when she left.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got home about 9 o'clock, and what happened?
I got home at 9 and I said, don't disrespect me and my woman. You know, this is the woman I love.
When you got home, you walked in the front door. Where was he?
He was in the kitchen and he had a female guest there too. That was
He's
there
allowed
for
to have a
weeks.
female guest. It's his house.
Yeah, right. The pot calling the kettle black, basically.
No,
Hypocrisy.
Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis, if you rent a room to a single guy, did you have a lease agreement with him?
Yeah, I did have a lease agreement.
Did you have a written lease?
Yes, I did.
Did your written lease provide that you were going to live there?
Yes, it did.
Just you?
Yes.
Well, you bring in another person, that's in violation of the lease.
That's not in violation of the lease because there was nothing in the lease that said I couldn't have guests. He actually said I could have guests.
Guest is one thing. A guest is somebody that doesn't come with an overnight bag regularly.
No, he said
one
I could
day,
have an overnight
2 days, 3 days, 4 days. That's more than an occasional guest. That's somebody that comes and goes even when you're not there. Because according to you, you contacted Tawana while you were at work and she was at the house.
That's false.
Well, I thought you contacted her and then you said she left. She took a few things with her, probably just an overnight bag.
No, she was not going there when I wasn't there. That's false.
Are you saying that she was not in your room when you were not home?
When I was not there, no,
Yeah.
she would not be there.
That true?
No, he had made a key to her She would come as she pleased.
Did you make her
That's
a key?
false. That's absolutely false.
Did you make her a key?
No, that's
is my
absolutely
question.
false. No, I
Do
didn't
you
make
still
her a key.
speak to Tawana?
No, I don't. We kind of fell out of touch.
If I were to call Tawana and ask her whether or not you made a key, would she tell me she did or she didn't?
She would say that I didn't.
Didn't.
Yeah.
Phone number.
I have it in my stamp.
I don't have her number saved here.
I'm not exactly buying the fact that Tawana did not have access to the home even when you weren't there, even if it was just a half hour before you came home from work, sir. You work until 9 o'clock every night?
Your Honor, I had this to say about the whole key situation. I gave her my key when I was locked up in jail from his false police report. I gave her my property, and she had my key then to help me get the stuff out of his home. But I never went and made her a copy of a key anywhere.
Did she ever use your key other than when you were incarcerated?
No.
He says she did.
I said, you're a bitch. I called him a bitch. I did.
He's a guy. Why would you call him a...
It's gender neutral at this point.
You think that that's gender neutral?
Yeah, at this point.
Well, there you go. That's why I have you here.
Ryan Davis claims his former landlord, Alex Zadie, owes for bail money after Alex had him falsely arrested.
Okay, so now you're having this discussion. He's in the kitchen. You come home from work at 9 o'clock, and you went into the kitchen to look for him.
Correct.
And when you found him, tell me what happened.
We had just a brief, maybe 2-minute conversation or argument, discourse about what the things that he said. And I said, you know, don't be disrespectful to my woman and me. And I said, you know, you're a bitch. I called him a bitch. I did. But I never threatened him,
No, you
harassed
said
him.
you're what?
That's it.
What does that mean? That's a half a sentence.
Well,
He was calling him a bitch. You are a bitch.
Oh, you were calling him?
yes, because he says these
guy.
things over the phone.
He's a guy. Why would
Yeah.
you call him a...
Because he says all these things over the phone and he gets real loud and he's a completely different person when he's on the phone than when I'm in
You
his...
think that's gender neutral?
Yeah, at this point.
Well, there you go. That's why I have you here. Okie dokie.
So,
okay, so you were going, don't call me that. You called him a name, and then things got heated, and then what happened?
no, things didn't get heated. After that, he said, oh, that's how you want to do it? And then I said, if you want to get me evicted, you have to go through it the right way and do it legally and give me a 30-day eviction.
No, he must have said to you, I want you out of here because you called me a name.
It
If you
wasn't
said, if
about-
you want me evicted, then he had to have said something about getting you out.
He didn't really see, I don't remember him mentioning anything about me getting out. I just remember the fact that he called the police to get
No,
me
before
out.
he called the police. You were still in the kitchen. Do you ever leave the kitchen?
Yes, I did.
Where did you go?
I went to my room.
Okay. Before you went to your room, did you hear him on the phone with the police?
I did.
Before you went
Yes.
to your room?
Yes.
Okay. And?
And I didn't sit there and listen to his phone call. I took a video and I started recording because I didn't want to be made out to look like the guilty party. And I had it pretty much live streaming the whole time, which was an Instagram video.
Can
to
I see it?
prove, No, I don't have the video. The police
Well, then it
deleted
doesn't exist. If you
Yeah.
don't have it, it doesn't
Yeah, I
exist for
understand.
my purpose.
Understood. Understood.
But you had it then.
Yeah, I did have it then.
You did. And the police came,
Yes.
and I assume if the police came, you showed them the video.
Yeah, I was showing it to him.
And despite showing them the video, they took you into custody.
Despite showing them the video, they
Just
took
a
me
second.
into custody.
Despite looking at the video,
Yes.
which I haven't
They
seen.
didn't look at the video. They refused to look at it.
Well, let's go one step further. You see, Mr. Davis, this is why you bring actions right away, so that not only everybody's memory is fresh, but if I wanted to call a police officer
where
who
you're coming.
responded or whatever, that's why you bring an action right away.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So now you're taken into custody and you have a video that is totally, according to you, exculpatory.
I don't know the definition.
Exculpatory means it says that you were not guilty of anything.
Okay.
And you appear in court?
No, I didn't appear in court.
Never?
No, never.
Well, what happened to the case?
The case was thrown out. It was a DA reject because there was insufficient evidence that I did anything to him.
And you never showed the district attorney your video?
I didn't get a chance to because the video was deleted by the police.
The police department deleted your video?
Yeah, they did.
You are a terrible victim of circumstance, Mr. Davis. Did you ever make a complaint that the police department deleted your video that would be exculpatory?
No.
Why not? I would if I had.
Maybe ignorance of the law, I guess.
What?
I said maybe ignorance of the law, I guess. Not knowing. When you know better, you do better.
No, Mr. Davis. Actually, I mean, sometimes you really don't know what the law is, but you were smart enough, you said, to tell me, because you knew I would say, why wait 2 years, that you didn't want this action to conflict with another action. Well, that's a two-process thinker.
I've had something like that happen to me before, where I had a criminal case and a civil case pending, and the dates were kind of intertwining and messing, and they're about to get in the way of my civil case. So I didn't want to make that same mistake with this case, Your Honor.
Okay, so you want to tell me what your version of the events were of November 9th of 2020?
Yes, Your Honor. I had gone to Mexico for a business trip meeting, and I had my friend who was visiting from Mexico staying at my place, and at that same time, I had another roommate who was renting the room next to Ryan Davis's room. His name was Dave. I received a call from Dave on November 9th that is constant sex going on.
Okay, so you received a call from the other person living in your house who you were renting a room to.
Right.
Okay, and then, don't tell me what he said. Can't tell me, that's all hearsay.
Well, I've heard prior to all the sexual acts taking place.
Listen to me. You personally,
yes,
when you were home?
Yes.
Okay, so you heard what was going on behind his closed doors?
Right, day and night.
Okay.
Like there's no tomorrow.
Okay, well, maybe, maybe jealous. Okay.
Disrespectful.
Shh. Okay, so he was becoming an annoying tenant.
Yes.
For whatever reason.
Yes.
Keep going. You sent him a text. He called you. You had heated words. He comes home from work. You're in the kitchen.
Yes.
He comes into the kitchen and
I told him, Ryan, we've gone through this many times before. I've addressed this to you about your girlfriend coming here all the time, day and night, and now she's here every day. What he was doing was sneaking her in late at night, and that's how I wouldn't know that she snuck back in. There were times I came home from work, and she was already there when Ryan wasn't even there, so she had the key, obviously.
Okay, now let's go to November 9th.
November 9th, I confronted him. I said that this is just way too much. My other roommate wants to leave. He cannot take it anymore.
And
then he said, well, she isn't here. And
Okay, he said she wasn't here. Keep going.
Then he cussed at my friend who was visiting from Mexico. He said, get this bitch out of here.
That's not true.
Don't interrupt.
And,
okay.
I said, you can't talk to her.
Okay, let's go.
Right. Then he went into his room. He came back. He brought a samurai sword with him. And he flashed at me. I'm going to slice you in half like a butter.
Okay.
What? And I'm like shocked at that time. Don't know what's going on with him because he's just changing character. I'm scared of my life. I'm scared of my guests.
Okay. And then what happened? So
and
he
then
came out
I said, you need to get out of here. You need to move.
And then he went back. He didn't do anything with the sword.
No, he didn't. He went back in the room with the sword. He put it there. But then he came back and he pushed me against the wall. As he was pushing me, I tried to block him by putting my two hands up. And when he pushed me, it bruised. I had a cut on my wrist, but there was a bruise.
Okay.
And
now,
I
at what
said, I'm going to
point?
call the police.
Okay, so you called the police when he came back out of his room the second time, this time without the sword. And the police took a report.
Yes.
Do you have that report?
Yes.
I'd
right
like
here,
to see it. Mr. Davis, do you have a copy of the police report or any
have it right
follow-up
here, too,
report?
Your
I'd like to see that too. Mr. Davis, where did you get the sword from?
My girlfriend at the time.
Which girlfriend?
Twana.
When did she get it for you?
She got it during my birthday, for a birthday gift.
When's your birthday?
October 31st.
And this happened on November 9th.
Correct.
Between October 31st and November 9th, did you have occasion to show Mrs. Zaidi prior to November 9th? So
Never,
between
Your Honor.
31st and the 8th, did you show Mr. Zaidi the sword?
Never, Your Honor. He's
Just
a liar.
just a sec. Just answer my question. He was there or not there, according to you?
There.
He was there?
Correct.
Okay, good.
His guest was also there for about 2 weeks.
Just who cares about his guest? He owns the house.
Ryan Davis has accused his former landlord, Alex Zaidi, of causing a false arrest. Alex says Ryan threatened him with a samurai sword.
Okay. October 31st to November 8th, did you ever show Mr. Zaidi the sword?
No, Your Honor.
No.
No.
Okay. So unless he went into your room,
He went into my room.
unless he went into your room prior to November 9th, there was no way he would have seen the sword.
Correct.
Okay. And when did you go away on this business trip, sir?
On the 9th.
That day?
Yes, in the morning.
And on what day did you first see this sword that was in his room?
On the evening of November 9th.
That was the first time, not his
First,
birthday, not second day, not third day. Okay. Does his room have a lock on it, by the way?
From inside.
From inside. Mr. Davis, were you on probation at the time of this incident for something in Riverside
Yes,
that involved a fraud?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And that wasn't a fraud dating back to 2004?
It was dating back.
No, it wasn't an incident.
For 2000 and, I believe, 15.
Okay. So when you told me before, and I'm not even going to have Whitney read it back, you said the last time you had this speeding little problem and evading police, I said, well, before that? And you said, yeah, I did before that in 2004.
Correct.
But that was a lie.
Which was like...
Just a second, that was a lie. You had another case involving a fraud in 2015 on which you were on probation, which means that you were either found guilty or took a plea.
Correct.
Okay. And when the police officer, Mr. Davis, took down your statement, you said that while you acknowledged that you had a samurai sword in your room, you said you had never shown it to Mr. Zaidi.
Correct, Your Honor.
You had never showed it at any time. Well, then how would he know that you had a samurai sword, sir, in your room when he called the police?
Because he was going in my room, I believe, when I was not there, going through my stuff.
Okay.
That's the only other way I can know that he was...
I'm not finished reading this, yes.
Okay, that's fine.
That's like the 2015 case. You just remembered. Do you have any other police reports that you'd like me to see, Mr. Davis?
Not a police report, but I have the bail bonds receipt that I paid. And
I'm not interested in your bail bonds receipt.
I have the DA reject.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, they rejected the case right here.
Yeah,
They refused
I'd like
to
to
file
see it.
charges. Your Honor, there's a conflicting story where he said he was left on the 9th because he was there 2 weeks with his guest prior to that. So how could he leave on the 9th if his guest was there 2 weeks prior to
I
the
asked
9th?
him when he left for his... Sir, you didn't understand the reason for my question. I wanted to know if he had been gone from October 31st, which was your birthday, to the 8th. That's why I asked him when he left on his business trip.
Correct.
And he said he didn't leave until the date of this incident. You want to say he left before?
He did
That would
leave
be
before.
interesting.
He
What?
did leave before.
He did.
Yes.
On what date did he leave?
I don't know the exact date, but I
A
know
week before, 5 days before?
it was maybe about a few weeks before.
November 9th?
Yeah, a few weeks.
Then he wouldn't have been able to see your sword because he wouldn't have been coming in and out of your
He was
room.
there from the 9th.
Well,
from
this
the
happened on the
31st
9th.
From the 31st to the 9th, he was there.
Well, you just told me he left 2 weeks before.
I'm saying he was gone before that date, and then on the 31st, between the 31st and the 9th, he was there at the place.
Okay, well, that's what he says. He said he was there, and the business was only 1 day. He left on the 9th, and he came home on the 9th. You said, no, he was there for 2 weeks before. Well, if he was there for 2 weeks before and you didn't get the sword until 31st of October, he could not have seen it by going in and out of your room. So you have to sort of get your story straight, sir. So he was there or not there, according to you?
He was there.
He was there?
Correct.
Okay, good.
His guest was also there for about 2 weeks.
Just who cares about his guest? He owns the house.
Okay.
Okay, it was a misdemeanor case and they declined to prosecute it.
Correct.
Your case is dismissed, Mr. Davis, for several reasons. It's dismissed because it was brought in an untimely fashion. It was brought 2 years after the fact for no valid reason.
Your Honor,
it's
it was a
dismissed for that.
pandemic.
It's dismissed for a second reason, because I find some of your testimony, sir, incredible. And one of the reasons I say that is because you were not forthcoming with a legitimate answer to me with regard to your prior history, which isn't always dispositive, but if you had something pending for evading the police, and you had something pending for evading the police while you were on probation for a crime for which you were convicted, either after trial or after hearing, do you understand? You would remember that. Are you still on probation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, your case is dismissed. We're done.
This
You're
court is
making a big
adjourned.
mistake, Your Honor. You have guests over 2 to 3 weeks at a time, but I have a girl over for 3 days, and now it's World War III.
He was only allowed to stay there by himself, not with his girlfriend.
I never went at him with a samurai sword.
pretty scary.
He basically just used the system against me because I'm a person of color and I have a record already, so I fit the bill.
He had a criminal record. When I rented the room to him, he was asking for a second chance.
It's easier for them to lock somebody up who's already been to jail.
Nobody was renting him the room, and he was saying he's trying to start a new life.
I'm 6'1", 200 pounds. I wouldn't even need a weapon if I was going to assault him, but I never did.
Thank you, Judge Judy.
You know, there are so many lessons from this case, I think, Sarah. One of them is there's a reason that the law tells you to bring an action in a timely fashion, right?
Many reasons.
Many reasons. One is because it's not like an afterthought, you know, and there are reasons for delays. You were in a hospital, you go into the armed forces, but here there was no really legitimate reason for him not bringing this kind of case in a timely fashion. And the other one that's always a good thing to me, what did you think about his credibility?
Yeah, I think it's hard for a fact finder to believe the totality of your testimony if one of the first questions, just about a simple question of your prior history with law enforcement, if you have any pending charges. I think that's a very simple question. If you aren't fully truthful with the fact finder on that question, it makes it really difficult, and the rest of your testimony is now suspect.
That's true. And it's a good lesson, because sometimes you think, well, it's sort of an innocuous question. Okay, before I get into the substantive part of it, whether or not you like the artwork or not, who was contacted by PayPal? Which one of you?
That would be, he handled the PayPal claim.
I took care of PayPal.
You took the call from PayPal?
Yes.
When you had communication with PayPal, do you have any proof, written proof of your communication, or did you just speak to PayPal verbally on the phone?
Both. We talked on the phone, and we also, PayPal documents our conversations via email through the website.
Did you tell PayPal that the plaintiff had picked up the merchandise?
Yes.
Well, that's not true.
It is true. She picked up the merchandise.
No. I don't believe that, sir. I believe she was dissatisfied with the merchandise. But unless you can prove to me that she picked up the merchandise, I don't believe that. Okay. Because she may be a tough cookie, and she may have gotten crazed with you and said miserable things about you in her review, but she would not be here today if she picked up the merchandise.
Her event was the next day. The day she picked them up, it was the day before her event.
Who gave it to her?
We gave it to her.
Not we. No, not we. Who gave it to her?
I gave it to her?
You're asking me a question, sir. You're asking me a question.
Her order
Not
was...
just a second. Mm-hmm. You have a business?
Yes.
You're in a building. Is there a reception area in the building?
Yes.
Did you tell PayPal that they were picked up from the reception area in the building?
I don't recall.
I want you to think about it. Mm-hmm. I want you to think about it. Did you tell PayPal that they were picked up in a reception area in your building?
I don't recall if I said the reception area or my office. I'm not sure the terminology I used.
Well, what was it, reception area or your office?
My office is
that's a question.
Area. My reception area is in my office. I don't recall exactly what I told PayPal, but she did pick them up that day, and that's what I told PayPal.
No, I don't believe you.
Okay. That's what we're here for.
No, that's what we're here for, because sizing her up, she's a tough cookie.
Yes.
And she, as I said, might have been dissatisfied with the logo, which I don't necessarily have to even go into now. What the screen was like, what the colors were off, or whatever it was, I don't have to go into that. Because if I believe that she did not pick up the merchandise, and you told PayPal that she did pick up the merchandise, she gets her refund back. Now, so I'm going to come back to you. You didn't like the way they looked.
Correct.
I don't care why. Did you have other shirts made?
I did. I have one of them here today.
Do you have an invoice for the other shirts? Who did you have them made by?
Rush Order Tees.
That's easy. When did you have them made by Rush Order Tees?
I had them made in May.
Well, that's about 30 days later. Mm-hmm. And did you sell them?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Pull up an order from your phone for Rush Order Tees, please. Mm-hmm. While you're looking at it, just tell me, how much did you pay for them from Rush Order Tees, and how many did you order?
It was just slightly over $2,000. I believe we ordered 110 T-shirts.
Okay. And you got them sometime in May?
Correct. I'm sorry, that was April 26th was the exact date.
May I see it, please?
There's my order.
It was 1828.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Gallagher, she ordered the T-shirts within a couple of weeks and got them from another company, which suggests to me that if she picked up your T-shirts, she would not have done that. Do you understand?
I don't
Do you
agree with
understand?
that. No, I don't. Because if she
you
ordered
may not,
200...
You may not like it, but ladies may be, to you, abrasive, because that's what you say in here. She may be abrasive, but she would not ask for a refund through PayPal if she had picked up, if she had picked up the merchandise. She would not have done that.
The previous year she ordered 200, and this year she ordered 100 from me, 100 from them, which same is consistent, 200 shirts.
I can answer to that if you'd like.
She picked them up.
No, she didn't. No, she didn't.
We ordered a smaller quantity this year because many of our friends had already purchased them the previous year.
Whatever. I don't believe that you picked them up. I believe that you got angry because they weren't exactly what you wanted. You looked at them, but there's no question that it was an easy answer for him to give when PayPal called and said she picked them up from the reception area. Okay, and I don't believe that. So you have to get your refund back because you were dissatisfied and because you lied. There was an incident between the plaintiff and your husband, and you came in. Did you say something to her?
Yeah, I did.
Don't.
I didn't want to talk to her.
No.
Larissa Kuala-Ehlers claims business owners Ernie and Sonia Gallego owe for a refund on custom T-shirts. Ernie and Sonia are countersuing for defamation.
But that doesn't justify.
What?
We did do all the work. The printing is the very last part of the order. We did the graphic work. We printed samples. We went above and beyond to try to make her happy, and she was completely unreasonable. There was
listen, I said to you, she may be a completely unreasonable customer.
Right.
That's possible. Fortunately, I don't have to go into that because the reason your husband gave PayPal for not giving her a refund was because she took the merchandise. And I don't believe that. I believe she may have been, in your eyes, a totally unreasonable customer. And if your husband had said to PayPal, we were ready, willing, and able, we fulfilled our contract to the letter, and we could just not satisfy this lady. The merchandise is here, ready to be picked up. It was always ready to be picked up. He didn't. He told them she got it, and that was not true. And that, Miss Gallagher, is why she gets her refund back.
Her event was the day before. We were on a crucial deadline. We have our employees working overtime, getting her job done. We have receipts of all the items that were printed, that were ordered. She came in the day before her event, picked up what we had completed. I had completed approximately 72 shirts. She took one box out of 2 that day. She was going to come back for the rest. She left with what she had for her event. She even posted pictures on social media of our shirts.
Oh, that I would like to see. Did you pick up any boxes from him?
I picked up no boxes. And the event that he's referring to, my son has a race on the second Saturday of every month. I had asked for those shirts to be ready by his April race, but because they were not, I didn't have shirts for him until the March race. Every shirt that you see in my social media or my son's social media is the shirts that we purchased from Rush Order Tees.
I'd like to see.
This is our sample picture.
No, I want to see what...
Oh, here.
Is that one of the shirts that you prepared for
This
her?
is on her social media account. And then this is also just the graphic work that we did on her social media page.
Which social media account?
I'll find out.
We know that's our shirts because I did the graphic design work. All the logos she gave me were like different colors. They were full color. They had black backgrounds. I revised, redrew everything, and converted them all to white.
Just 1 second.
I did the graphic work, and they're all in PNG form, so all you have to do is change them
If
to
she
white.
did the graphic work, then why would she pay us to do the graphic work?
And I have an email printout of the graphic she submitted to us. It's not print ready.
Oh, I don't care about that. I'm not getting into those weeds.
I have copies of all of the JPEGs.
According to you,
yes.
I'm going to go back. He said that there were 2 boxes ready.
There were 2 boxes ready.
There's 2 boxes ready, but that wasn't all the shirts.
There was
2 boxes. The 2 boxes were not all the shirts. How many shirts were in a box?
72.
So what you're telling me is that she picked up 72 shirts.
Yes.
Okay. Go back and tell me. Just refresh my recollection as to what he said about the 2 boxes of shirts. Well, we had 2 boxes of shirts ready.
I didn't pick up a thing. They wouldn't even let me take a sample.
She took 1 box out of 2 that day. She was going to come back for the rest.
Were there only 2 boxes, or were there more than 2 boxes?
2 boxes.
Did you tell PayPal that she did not take half of the merchandise?
I told PayPal that we filled 72 pieces when I talked to him on the phone.
That's not what PayPal said to her, sir. That's not what PayPal said.
I'm not sure what PayPal said to her.
PayPal said that the merchandise was delivered to you.
Exactly
and you did not
what?
return. And it was not returned. But that's not true.
Exactly what
Only
I'm testifying here is what I told PayPal.
Well, then why wouldn't PayPal say to her, look, we don't know what the dispute is all about, color and everything else, but you're entitled to half your deposit back if you told her you only delivered half the merchandise.
The thing is, 100% of the shirts, there's 3 locations, a front, back, and a sleeve.
Listen.
We have everything's 100%, the sleeves are done. The 72 were printed 100%. We just had 29 shirts remaining, 28 shirts remaining.
I don't believe you, Mr. Gallagher. She gets her deposit back. Now we're going to get to your counterclaim. Counterclaim is for $5,000 for defamation. So I'd like to see how she defamed you.
So Larissa posted a negative review on Yelp, which
she's allowed to do.
She's allowed to. However, she's not allowed to say that my husband lunged at her and was aggressive. That's
I'd like to see it. And then I'll ask her about it.
And I've also included other reviews from other businesses that she's dealt with where it has the same MO. I spoke to another business owner.
Did Miss Gallagher call you on your cell phone the day afterwards to apologize for her husband's behavior?
She called me that afternoon.
On your cell phone?
I believe it was on my cell phone, yes.
And this happened on April 26th of 2022?
It happened on April 8th.
Okay, so that would be in your phone log.
Should be, if I still have it.
While she's looking, Miss Gallagher, after this incident, when she came in and had this acrimonious discussion with your husband, which is evidenced in this review, did you call Miss Ehlers? Did you call her?
I did call her.
Okay,
Yes, I
and
did.
that because that she can prove that you called her.
Yes.
Now, after this screaming match that she had with your husband, where she left your premises,
It wasn't
she
a
said,
screaming
just,
match.
she said that you came down for whatever reason. I'm just asking you things that can be proven.
Right.
What can be proven is after she stormed out that day, you called her the next day. I want to know what you're claiming you said to her the next day.
I gave her a call to smooth the situation over.
Just tell me what you said to her the next day. Hello, it's me from $5 school teas. It's Sonia.
Okay.
What did you say to her? Be careful.
I don't remember word for word, but what I do remember saying is that I apologize for how everything played out.
Okay, okay, because there was an incident between the plaintiff and your husband.
Yes.
And you came in. Did you say something to her?
Yeah, I did.
Don't.
I didn't want to talk to her.
No. I think you got into a screaming match with her, and I think that your wife intervened that day, which is why she called her the next day to try to smooth things over. This is not a tea dance. This is not a tea dance.
Larissa Kuala-Ehlers is accusing business owners Ernie and Sonia Gallego of ruining her custom T-shirt order. Ernie and Sonia say Larissa left a negative review and defamed them.
Okay, you came in the middle of the dispute.
Yes.
And in the middle of the dispute, to try to calm things down.
Yes.
Because she was screaming at him.
Yes.
And he was screaming at her.
No.
What was he saying to her? She was screaming at him, and what was he doing? Now, just remember, you called her the next day.
I did.
To apologize to her.
Not to her. I called to apologize for the entire situation from beginning
but
to
if
end.
what you're telling me is that the only one who was behaving badly was the plaintiff, That's what you're telling me. The only one that was behaving badly was the plaintiff.
She was out of line.
There's no question. There's no question. Actually, she acknowledges in this review.
But that's not the worst part of it.
She acknowledges in this review that she was out of line in screaming.
Yes.
And that's what you came into.
Yes.
So the only thing that you're disputing is that your husband was likewise screaming at her, answered her back.
He was not screaming. He was patient, and he was attempting to work it out with her. The only thing I remember him saying, and I can recall, is him saying, I'm trying to help you. I don't understand why you're acting this way. And I do recall him telling her that she was a bad person because she was...
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, a person can only take so much.
I'm telling you, she says this.
Yes.
In her review. Okay. Now, you want me to look at other reviews that you wrote for a carpet company in 2021.
Yes, and I spoke to the owner.
Shh. Okay, first she complained about a carpet company and the horrible service. They laughed at her and disrespected her. Okay. And then, that was in 2021. That was a year before. Then she posted a review, according to the timeline, in 2015. So 6 years before.
It shows a pattern.
No, a pattern.
Yeah,
a pattern. Three complaints. Three complaints from somebody who lives a life in 6 years.
I have a copy of all of the 5-star reviews.
Okay, and this one said the owner wasn't interested in hearing her complaints. It was over the phone and hung up. That's 2015. Okay, she takes her reviews seriously. Now, you want to show me other reviews?
These are all of the 5-star reviews that I've done as well. Yeah. I'm an equal opportunity Yelper.
Just a second. Would you just show this to the plaintiff and make sure she agrees that those are hers, and then I'm going to have you show this to the defendants. Okay. Now show this to Ms. Gallego. All you have to do is look at them quickly.
Yeah.
Well, no, just a second.
Yeah.
You didn't look at them.
Oh, I was reading. Okay.
You don't have to read the whole thing. These are 5-star reviews.
Yes.
Count how many she did.
Yes, I see that there's a good...
So she takes her reviews seriously. It's not a pattern.
Right, but she's aggressive in everyone. Like I mentioned...
No, not aggressive in here.
Well, not in those.
Not
in the negative
here.
ones, yes.
Not in here, and 2 of the ones that you gave me were over the phone. If I told you how many times my husband hangs up on people over the phone aggressively...
I understand, but name-calling and belittling people and calling him...
retarded,
stupid.
Just a second. All unladylike.
She attacked my faith.
Oh, listen to me. That's not what you're talking about, Mr. Gallego. You're talking about a lawsuit for defamation, that she posted something that was false on the internet. And I'm telling you it wasn't false because I think you got into a screaming match with her, and I think that your wife intervened that day, which is why she called her the next day to try to smooth things over. This is not a tea dance. This is not a tea dance. You understand? This is not a tea dance. I believe that she did not pick up her shirts. I believe that that's why your wife called her to try to smooth out that, as well as what had happened the day before. She behaved badly.
You're allowing a tyrant to get away with this.
I'm allowing a tyrant to get away with this?
She completely bashed us. She's lying. She picked up her order.
No, I don't believe that.
Your Honor, my reputation, I work with students, I work with teachers, moms. My reputation, I don't advertise.
Just a second.
It's all word of mouth.
She did not pick up her order, sir, even according to you. According to you, she only picked up a partial order. She picked up 1 box. That's according to you. That's not what PayPal.
72 out of 100.
No, I don't. Listen to me. So what you're saying is there were 2 boxes, not in half. The orders were not in half. You filled up 1 box and only there was a little bit of merchandise left in the second box.
Back for, yes.
Yeah, I don't believe you, sir.
Because
she gets her refund. She gets her refund. $16.93. Judgment for the plaintiff. Counterclaims dismissed. We are done here.
This court is adjourned.
She completely dismissed the way she treated us.
She absolutely made the right decision.
I've never dealt with a customer like this in my 25-year history. I went well above and beyond.
They're angry with me because I didn't like their work product.
Our work speaks for itself. Our history speaks for itself. We have clients that have been with us for years, and we'll just continue doing what we're doing.
You always get what you pay for. Make sure you're looking out for where you're doing business.
I really believe that she got aggressive with him when she went to pick up those T-shirts. She acknowledges she got aggressive with him. She says in her Yelp review, sorry to say that she became angry and agitated and started screaming at him, which he doesn't have to tolerate. I do believe that his wife intervened, as she said in her Yelp review, that his wife came in saying to his wife, I'm talking to her, not to you. I can
Really heated moments.
I can actually see
Visualize
him.
it.
I can actually visualize him saying that. The problem is you have to make a judgment. And the judgment really was whether somebody who was aggressive, and she was, who knows her business, knows what she wants, runs a business, had ordered the shirts before, had ordered them for somebody else, was satisfied with the previous order because there was no negative review that they showed from that order. She may have been dissatisfied. She may have had just cause to be dissatisfied. But he lied when she said she picked up the shirts.
Just to prevent her from getting a refund.
From getting her refund. So I didn't believe that, because I don't think that that woman would have been here if she had picked up the shirts. She would have been here. She would have said, I want a refund because here are the shirts. It's not what I ordered.
Exactly. It doesn't make sense.
It's usually not true.
Hi, hello, and welcome our new video. দেখুন কিভাবে মাছ কাটতেছে মাছ কাটার স্পেশাল ব্লগ ভাই কি নাম তোমার কৃষ্ণ বিশ্বাস কৃষ্ণ বিশ্বাস মাছ কাটিতেছে আমাদের ভাই সাহেব হ্যাঁ না হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ ছেড়ে দাও 4 ভাগ করো 4 ভাগ হ্যালো ভিউয়ার্স, নতুন একটি ভিডিও ব্লগে আপনাদেরকে সকলকে স্বাগতম। এটি একটি হচ্ছে আপনার ফিশ মার্কেটের ভিডিও ব্লগ। এই ব্লগে আপনারা দেখতেছেন কীভাবে একজন লোক এই যে কৃষ্ণ ভাই কীভাবে মাছটা কাটতেছে সেই বিষয়ে আপনাদেরকে দেখাচ্ছি এবং কীভাবে এরা দ্রুত একটা মাছ, এটা হচ্ছে 2 কেজির উপর একটি মাছ, কাতল মাছ, কীভাবে এটি মনে করেন কেটে এবং পরিষ্কার করে আপনাকে সাইজ করে দিচ্ছে, এটি হচ্ছে ভিডিওতে দেখতে পারবেন। এবং পাশাপাশি আপনি জানেন কিনা আমাদের হচ্ছে মাছের আঁশ বিক্রি করে বৈদেশিক মুদ্রা অর্জন করছে আমাদের দেশের মানুষজন। তো আসলে এই মাছের আঁশ আসলে হয়টা কি, বিজ্ঞানীরা পরীক্ষা করে দেখছেন মাছের আঁশে আছে কোলাজেন, ফাইবার, অ্যামাইনো অ্যাসিডের মতো কয়েকটি গুণ। ফলে আঁশ দিয়ে তৈরি হয় বিভিন্ন ধরনের পাউডার, যা ওষুধ শিল্প, প্রসাধনী শিল্প ও খাদ্য শিল্প সহ পরিবেশ রক্ষার নানান সামগ্রীতে কাজে লাগে। মাছের আঁশ সংগ্রহের ফলে পরিবেশের দূষণমুক্ত হচ্ছে বলে পরিবেশবিদদের অভিমত। ব্যবসায়ীরা বিভিন্ন সম্পর্কে এই বিষয়ে যদি কোনো কিছু বলে থাকে সেইগুলো আপনাদেরকে আমি বলছি। আঁশ সংগ্রহ করার পর সে আঁশগুলো পরিষ্কার পানিতে অথবা স্বল্প গরম পানিতে ধুয়ে পরিষ্কার করা হয়। এমনভাবে পরিষ্কার করা হয় যেন মাছের গায়ে লেগে থাকা তৈলাক্ত পদার্থ সম্পূর্ণ ধুয়ে যায়। তারপর সামান্য রোদে শুকানোর পর ঝরঝরে করা হয়, এরপরেই বিক্রির উপযোগী হয়। অবশ্য কেউ মিক্সার গ্রাইন্ডারে গুঁড়ো করে পাউডার আকারেও মাছের আঁশ বিক্রি করে। ব্যবসায়ীদের মতে মাছের ধরন অনুযায়ী আঁশের দাম ভিন্ন হয়। রুই, কাতলের মতো বড় মাছের আঁশের দাম একটু বেশি। চিংড়ি মাছের মাথার খোসার দাম আরেক রকম। মাছের ফুলকার দামও আলাদা, মাছের চর্বির দামও ভিন্ন। তো এইভাবে অনেকেই মাছের আঁশ বা মাছের অন্যান্য জিনিসগুলো বিক্রি করেও আর্থিকভাবে স্বাবলম্বী হচ্ছে। মাথা না তুমি করলা